Yeah, I enjoy watching the videos.
So it looks like we're going. Looks like we're recording now, so that's good. So I'm here with Marcus, and Marcus wanted to learn SketchUp and asked me to help him. And I said, sure, that would be fun. And so what I thought we would do first is just make sure like our working atmospheres are the same. So if you'll click on your SketchUp,
Clicked on it.
and I'm just gonna share your screen to begin with. This may be the
Okay.
easiest way to do this. So that looks like one thing. This is a trial. Okay, SketchUp Pro trial. So up at the top, let me show you what mine looks like first, just for the fun of it. How about that? All right, am I sharing my screen now?
Yes.
Uh, can you see up here where I have the this toolbar that's got the pencil and the eraser?
Yep. And the pointer and
Right.
the
These are the most common tools you will use in your entire SketchUp career. The eraser, the lines, this especially these shapes that I drew out here. Or with that, the push pull, and I'm doing. I'm not. I know I'm going through this quickly, but I'm just trying to get the toolbar set up first, and then we can go over each individual one.
that's fine with me.
But under View, um, and you can go to Toolbars, and then it looks like you. If you'll look, let me come and look at your screen. This may be a little getting used to here. All right, so now go to
I,
your. There you go. Go to your view and let's see if the trial version is the same. Go to toolbars. There you go. And large tool set is checked. Uh, Scroll back up just for a second.
advanced camera tools.
No, let's see. Let me go back to mine for a second and I'll just hang right where you are.
Okay.
And it's getting started
Getting
up at
started.
the top. Oh no, that's right there.
Oh, right here. Got
Yeah.
it.
And where did it go? Hmm. That should have um, that should have exposed it. When you click on it, it's supposed to bring it up, to view.
Should I try reset all?
Yeah, do
Maybe.
that. Yeah, do that and see what happens.
Yep. I see some
There
more
you
tools.
go. Now, yeah, I don't want to try to influence how you do this, but I would drag that. See how you had your cursor at the end? Drag that over to unless you want to keep it there. Yeah, there you go.
And then I could probably get rid of this one here. You
Yeah,
think?
yeah, I
Okay.
think so for now. I think if we keep our
So
working atmosphere the same, you can just kind of drag it down into the workspace and then you can delete it. There you go. Now, I think we're on the same page now.
that's
So I think that'll work better, don't you?
yeah, where I can mimic and
Yeah.
mirror everything. It'd be a lot easier instead of searching for different things in the drop down box.
Right. So let me go back to screen sharing my screen now. And I'm going to delete all this stuff. And I think it was interesting that let me go to my, will you say something? I want to make sure your voice is being,
Uh, yes.
yes, yeah, that's
All right.
good. I just wanted to make sure your voice was being recorded too, because I want to make sure. Uh, Now, I thought it was interesting that you came up with this as something to actually work with because one thing that's I think is good is having a real project to work on. It's something that's real. Even if you don't, even if you're not going to build this house, building it in SketchUp is almost the same thing.
Give
It's,
it.
it's what we do. So I thought what we would do is, since in having something to work with is, I don't know, gives us purpose. I don't know what the
Yeah.
philosophy is behind that, but I just like having something real. So if we're looking at this plan, I thought we would start off with the basic tools, and we're just going to draw just a basic rectangle to begin with. Okay,
Okay.
and I'm going to do it, and then I'm going to go to your screen and help you do it. So
Okay.
we'll just go back and forth. I think, don't you think that would be the best way to do it?
Yeah, that's the best way I learned. So that's
Okay,
perfect.
cool. So I see that this is 24 feet 8 inches by, let's see, that there's a brick ledge right here. So I think what we should do for now is just draw it that total length. And I think that was 45.8. Yeah, because this was 2 foot 3. Okay, so what we're going to do, and this is a good example, I'm just going to start off. I'm going to select this rectangle tool right here. See this?
Yes.
Okay, I'm just going to click out here. Since you're just starting a project, it doesn't really matter. Okay, just click somewhere in space over here and start dragging it. Okay, now don't click again. Okay, now look down in your bottom right hand corner, and you see how those dimensions are changing.
As you
Yeah,
expand and
yeah. You see, now pay attention to the fact that 69 feet is the top and bottom dimension because it's the lesser, right? The reason I do a rectangle is so I know which dimension is which. If I make like a square looking, I can't really tell as easy. But if I make a long,
Mhm.
rectangle, I can tell 66 feet is the bottom dimension and 135 feet is the side dimension, right?
Yep.
Okay, that's the orientation I want it because it's our paper orientation, right? So, or that's the orientation we want to draw the house in. So I'm going to type, since I know the narrow dimension is first. What did I say? The dimension was
Uh 24
24
8.
feet 8. Yeah, I'm going to type that one first. I'm going to type 24, and as long as you don't click again, you can type it. 24 feet 8, comma, and I'm just going to scroll back in here again for a second. 45 8. Okay. And again, all this, it doesn't matter what I'm doing with my mouse right now, as long as I don't click again, right? Um,
So you can click, drag, and type in dimensions, and then
yeah, 24 feet 8. If I could just remember what they are, 20, help me remember 24 feet 8 by 45 8, 24 by 45. All right. So what I'm going to do down here is type in 24 feet 8, comma, 45 feet 8, and then I'm going to hit enter. Boom. What houses? That's funny. I got these drawings really big. I mean, I just brought them in the way they were. I'm just going to move this. I'm going to move this closer since it's so small. I should have shrunk these drawings down. This is actually, so now if you take this tool, you can check it. See the tape measure tool right here?
yep.
You can click on that and grab one side and then pull it to the other, and you'll see it's 24 feet 8, and you can go from top to bottom 45 feet 8. Now, I'm coming to your screen.
Okay.
Okay, I'm there. Oh, you know what we should do? Let's get our working. Let's see. I don't think the working environment, as far as, well, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I'll show you in a minute. Go ahead.
Okay. So you 45.
Let's see. Where are you?
You see my
Where are your dimensions?
uh they are
Oh,
bottom.
that's funny. It's in the lower left hand for the trial version.
Can I wonder if I can move it over? They have a yeah, I can.
Oh no,
Okay.
it's okay. I wasn't. It surprised me. I wasn't looking for it. Yeah,
I just put it in the same area so we can be on the same
yeah. You're
the
right.
habits you already.
You're right. It is a little bit blurry. I wonder if that's. I may have to pay for a better streaming rate on for this. But anyway, So what I'll do, start in the upper left hand corner, and then
Upper left
start.
hand.
Yeah, and no, I mean on your in
Oh,
your space there. Go up a little bit. What you want to do is stay. Let me show you on mine. You want to go back to mine just for a second.
okay.
Okay, you see this axis right here? This red, green, and blue axis, the drawing axis here for the little girl stands.
Slow in. Just here we go.
Yeah, see that? You want to stay. You want your work. You want to keep your work out here in this field. You don't. You really. It's better if you. And I don't know why I can't explain it, but you want to kind of keep all your work over inside this
In the
zone. Okay.
okay,
So when you start clicking, I'm coming back to you now. Okay. I'm looking at your screen. So
kind of
start up a little bit higher.
here.
There you go. Now click and drag down to the bottom right. There you go. Now don't click again. Now you can start typing. Now
20
you can see, yeah, 24 feet. It's a comma.
feet.
Yeah, I'm sorry, an apostrophe. And you don't have to put SketchUp assumes that individual numbers are in units of inches, so you don't have to put the inch mark.
Because
You
that's
can just
the
put,
normal.
yeah, you can just put comma 45 feet 8, and then hit enter. There you go.
That's fair.
And now you can
Or
use that. The the rotate button is really uh, or orbit. I'm sorry, not the rotate. See this button right here? I keep forgetting
the,
we have to switch back and forth looking at screens. Right here is the orbit, and you can use it to get yourself oriented in the drawing like that, and you can use your mouse wheel to scroll in and out. People complain about me doing that all the time, the scrolling too much. But
zoom in.
that's a, that's another good. Coming back to your screen now.
Okay. Kind of.
There you go. You can kind of get yourself oriented. It makes it feel more three dimensional when you're looking at it in a perspective mode like that. You know.
Different angles.
Yeah. When you start drawing, you might want to go back. You know.
Yeah. And use different angles to draw dimensional number or whatever.
Well, it's just you'll notice that as you use SketchUp, that it's easier to feel the three dimensional world when you're looking at it as in a perspective like that. If you're just looking at it, let me go back to my one thing. One toolbar we will put up now. I just realized we need to see if you're looking at my screen. This top, this is the view toolbar. See how it says top.
Yeah. Oh,
If I do that, I'm looking straight down on it.
okay.
Now that's like you're working in two dimensional world, right? If
Looking out on the paper,
Yeah, if you're looking like down on the paper, but see the little house as it's got a like an ISO or like a perspective.
kind of like on an angle.
Yeah, yeah. You'll notice that once we start to draw three dimensional objects, you see it's easier to look at it. Now, let me go back to the top view. That doesn't look like much, does it? But
No, like
that looks like a lot. You know, I'm going to undo that because I wanted to start back from where you were. Let me come to your screen
okay.
and I'll show you how to get that view. You see that toolbar over on your right, the top right? Let's get rid of that one for now. Pull that down.
This one here.
Yeah, that has nothing to do with what we're doing now. That's just the. Now go back to your view selection there. There you go, toolbars. And then go to view down at the bottom, I think. Or views.
Got it.
There you go. Now you can kind of put it up there at the end. I think that works good because you don't use it that much, but it is really handy. So now you can click on that second button and you'll see what I mean. It'll give you a top view. It's like if you wanted to look at your floor plan, you would look at it that way. But if you wanted to look at it in kind of 3D, or perspective mode, you'd click the little house.
The first house. This
Yeah.
I
And then you can just use your orbit, that you've got, that tool you've got now to kind of rotate around
see
and
different.
work around. Yeah.
Okay.
Um, so that's just kind of ways to navigate. But and I am going to work on getting a better
Oh,
baud rate or um, whatever for this server because I think it's probably if I don't want it to be that fuzzy for every class. So what's funny is if you leave it for a second, it clears up, doesn't it? Yeah.
yeah, it looks great once it kind of slow down a bit.
So I'm gonna try to go a little bit slower, but let me go back, come to mine for a second, and I'll show
Okay.
you the the next thing we're gonna do. Excuse me. I've got I don't have corona. I have a little bit of allergy this time of year. So the next thing we're going to do is draw the thickness of the foundation wall. Okay, because this is where we can start to see some of the fruit of our work really quickly. Now I'm I I build a lot of these houses, and I usually make my foundation walls 10 inches thick when it's a basement. Does that sound good to you? That's typically what we would a poured concrete wall of this nature would be usually 10 inches.
Okay.
So what I'm
That's
going to do is I'm going to go up here and kind of get to where I can see everything. And you see this tool right here is the offset tool.
yes. The tool kind of with a is it an arrow
Yeah, it's an arrow
sticking
with
out?
the little half circles around it or whatever.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm going to click on that. And then I'm going to take, I'm not clicking, but you see, if my cursor is outside the box, it's not doing anything right. But if I come on the inside, it'll there will be a little red box. Let me zoom in. I can't zoom in, can I? Right. So I'm outside now. I'm inside. You see, and the face kind of lights up.
On
Uh,
yeah, on the line of the box.
yeah. So what you're going to do is click on the inside. See where my cursor is? It doesn't matter where you click, just somewhere over here. And you're going to click over here and start to drag it in. You see how I can
Yeah.
drag it back and forth?
It,
Now,
towards from the line and
yeah, from the line in. And now what I'm going to do is just let go, and I'm not going to do anything else until I type a dimension. I'm going to type 10 down here in the bottom right hand corner, and I'm going to hit enter. Now watch what it does. It'll. Did I get lucky and make it 10 to begin with? Let's see. No,
the luck of
let me do that again. I probably accidentally clicked. Okay. I'm just going to bring it way over here, and then I'm going to type 10 inches. I know what I did. I didn't type my inch mark. There we go. You see how it snapped back to 10 inches?
after you click
Yeah.
yes.
So you can. I'm going to undo that. You can either offset it to where and try to guess at it. See down in the bottom how it's changing.
As you move, kind of like how to
Yeah, you
right.
see, if you're lucky, you can get it to the number that you want and let go, and it'll be fine. But what I have found is I don't have the patience for that. I'll just pull it in anywhere, and then I'll type 10 inches, and it'll go to where I want it, and then you can take your ruler and check it at
10
10
inches.
inches. So let me come to your. And every time you do that, you create a construction line. They drive me nuts. So I'm just going to delete it. So I'm going to come to your screen now,
Okay.
and let's see. I'll just get it in that sort of
Top
mode. kind of zoom in. Yeah, we'll zoom in a little bit better where you can see it. There you go.
And then the offset tool.
Mm-hmm.
So click first or
You can
10.
click. Yeah, you can click. Now just type 10. It looked like it was all. Good Lord, I think you got 10 inches right off the bat. Did you type 10 or was it at 10?
I typed 10.
Oh, okay. You fool. That's funny. I thought you'd gotten lucky. That's funny. Okay, that's perfect. Now go back to my screen, and it, I don't know how long it takes to get back to my screen. I don't want to start with that. I guess you're good,
Yeah,
right?
I'm yours.
Okay. So see this tool right here, the push pull.
Yes.
Okay. So we're going to click on that, and we're just going to click on that face. You see, you can push pull either of these faces. Whenever you create a closed a closed object in SketchUp, it will automatically create that face. Okay, so if you take this push pull tool and you just grab that, you click on that face and pull it. Well, you hold the mouse button down. You don't have to. That's the way I do it. And you just start up, and it's kind of the same. You see, it's waiting on me to click again. I can push it up to whatever I want. But what I'm going to do is enter the amount. Since we're doing a construction project, not art, I'm gonna I'm gonna come out here where I can see better and get it. Um, I'm gonna do that because I really wanted you to be able to see like in perspective how it works. There we go. So I'm gonna click on that again. There we go. Now I'm just going to start pulling it up, and I am going to let go because I have to type the number in. Now here's a. I'm going to type in 9 feet for now, okay?
Okay.
Just so I can. There we go. You see it popped up to 9 feet. So it really this is with any tool in SketchUp. You can either type the amount or type the number, or if you try to get lucky and just take it to that point and let go. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So you can see now I'm at 9 feet. So to see, you and I are going back and forth from the real world to the CAD world, the design world. And one thing I wanted to bring up about this drawing is I don't know how well you can see this. They were oh shoot, I didn't get it. They were only calling for like a 7'10" um, from the slab to the bottom of this floor, and I didn't quite understand that because your 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 form dimensions are like coming 8 feet, and then there's like 2 feet and 1 foot forms, so it needs to be a logical height, like 9 feet or 10 feet.
Oh, that's the way that you pour cement.
Yeah,
That cement.
it's the most logical way because see, if you don't use a logical dimension, then they're having to pop lines on the inside of forms, and you're not going to get as good a finish on the top of the wall if they have to trowel it inside a form. So, what, and this is where the construction part of this comes in, right? Uh, Having a little experience in construction will help you do better drawings. So, I know that I want this form to be either 9 feet or 10 feet, and all it means is that we would just dig the basement to the right elevation, right? So I would suggest that we make this wall 9 feet tall.
The first concrete wall.
Yeah.
Not okay.
So let me come back to your
Screen.
screen.
SketchUp.
Okay, I'm there. Now what I like to do is get it kind of in a perspective mode so I can see. You can just orbit, or you can just use your orbit. Yeah,
Zoom out.
just so you can kind of watch it. I don't know. I think it's fun. I think part of the fun for this for me is just watching things pop up out of the ground. I don't know why. I'm like a little kid.
Watching things be created.
Yeah. So then now you just click on your push pull and grab that outer face.
Zoom in,
Yeah.
zoom out. Pull it to
Now, did you
9.
pull it? Did you pull it twice, or did you just pull it once? You just
I think I just clicked it once.
okay. Try to click 9 feet.
9 feet.
Mm-hmm. Now here's what. Sometimes this is why you have to check it um, with your dimension tool. So if you let go and then you start pulling it again, it'll go 9 feet from where you left off.
From the spot you clicked previously.
Yeah, and it looked like you came up about 6 inches and stopped, and then maybe it's just me. What have you got there?
Uh, it's 9 feet.
Well, you're good then. See, it's probably in the video. It looked like it stopped and then restarted, and I'll show
I
you.
pulled and kind of stopped instead of pulling continuously.
Yeah, now come back to my screen, and I'll show you what I'm talking about.
Okay.
I'm just going to draw another little box over here just to demonstrate this. If you if I if I pull this up and I stop, okay, and then I start pulling it again and say 9 feet, it's going to probably be like 9 foot or 12 feet. You see, because I pulled it up 3 feet and then I started pulling it again. So once you start pulling, and you didn't do this, I thought you did. I thought what you did was you pulled it up a little bit and then you started again. You see,
Yeah.
once you start pulling it and you stop, then enter the dimension 9 feet, and it'll be 9 feet. If SketchUp assumes that you want to start over again, if you start pulling it, like if I pull it up to, I'm gonna get, let's see, 2 foot 6 or whatever. Now, if I start pulling it again and I say 9 feet, it's going to be, like 11 and a half feet.
It's gonna add it pulled from where you stopped at instead of
Yeah. So you just want
your
to, when you start pulling, just after you let go, after you let off your mouse button, and then enter the amount, that you want to go up. And the other thing that's cool about this tool is you can reference other items. Like if I want to pull this up, I can hold my mouse button down, keep it. I've got my left mouse button still down, right? Because I'm push pulling. But
from
I
yes.
but I can come over here. You see how I'm referencing the top of that wall? My
Yep. And
See that little red box?
yeah, going diagonally
Yeah,
across
yeah, or just anywhere really. I can reference that point or that point or whatever. And this comes in handy when you start pulling your floor plan up. Because if I draw, let's say I draw a wall, you know, I got two walls and they're not connected, and I start pulling my wall. I've got my floor plan drawn, and I start pulling this up, and I type in 8 feet one, and this one didn't come up. Oh, okay, I can just grab it and pull it up to the same height as that one.
instead of typing in the
Instead of typing it in,
dimensions
yeah.
and
Once you get
trying to
one,
guess the height,
yeah,
use it as a
because actually, as you may, I don't know how familiar you are with construction, but 8 foot walls are actually 8 foot one and an eighth. Because your studs are 92 and 5/8. So once once you get that one wall up and you've gone through that pain of typing in that number, 8 foot one and an eighth, uh, you know, 8 foot one and 1/8, then I can just reference that all the way around. And it's just SketchUp is very intuitive, and it's got a bunch of tools like that. And so it takes a while to learn all the little tricks, uh, you know. So
help.
let me delete this. The other thing in SketchUp is when you when you're deleting or selecting, if I um, if I start from this top uh, left hand corner and I pull down, it's only going to select the items that you see. If I start from the right hand bottom corner and go up, you see how it's kind of a um, a dashed square.
From the yes.
That's going to
Well,
select everything. Period. So you got to be careful. I've actually deleted things and had to go back and draw them over again because I made the mistake of like deleting something behind that. Like, let's say I had a box in a box, you know, a box in this box.
okay.
Well, if I deleted it this way, uh, well, let's see. Anyway, you're going to have to just play with that. What I would suggest is just drawing a bunch of items, random stuff, and playing around with that and getting used to the way this dragging this way works, and then dragging this way. Because you need to be careful. Now, what we'll do next is once we get this um, to a point, what we're going to do is I'm going to actually delete this out of here, and then I'm going to let me delete this. Get to where
The the
where you are in your drawing, right?
uh yes. I
I'm
still
gonna
had the surf.
yeah. So what we're gonna do now is just I don't know if it's a good time or not. Let's do a little more drawing work, but before we do any other category of work like framing, we're gonna make a group out of this, you know. So, but I'm not gonna do that yet. Let's do a little more drawing because once you make it a group, then you have to double click on it to edit it. So we'll just keep it simple for now. Let me go look at the plan for a second and let's decide. So, let's do this opening over here. That says 4 feet. What does that say? 4040. Okay, let's see. Let's see. Do I have a section on that? No, they didn't cut through that. What do you reckon that is? Is that like a? It says egress window with window. Okay, so so I guess let me back up a second. Since we're gonna do a window of, well, let's do the window first. I'm sorry, I don't mean to keep jumping around, but
Hey, with
let's
me. I'm fine with you.
let's go. It looks like it's 10 foot. Let's just make it 10 feet. I hate these silly 10 foot 3/4. I love logical dimensions. So what I'm this will teach us how to cut an opening into a wall. Okay, and this is another common thing we'll be doing. So what we're going to do to mark this window is we're going to take the tape measure tool because it also creates construction lines. Okay, so I'm going to click on my tape measure tool. I'm going to click on the corner. I'm just going to drag I let off the mouse button. Now I'm just dragging the mouse back and forth. I'm just gonna type in 10 feet, and you see where it snapped to 10 feet. And then I know that my floor is going to be about 8 inches, and so now we know that if this is an egress window, it has to be within 42 inches of the floor to meet egress requirements. And some of this, it just comes from experience in construction. You'll learn eventually. Do you have any experience in construction? Just so I know not to insult your intelligence.
I have a little bit, but not
Okay,
as far as the
so
field.
that's our we're gonna say that is our floor line for our slab line for right now. And one thing I have learned to do is not flirt with this 42 inches. Okay, the building inspector sometimes will measure to the uppermost part of the sill he can find, and if it's more than 42, he will turn it down. You'll be very upset. So I would make this 40 inches. I would actually make this 38 inches because by the time you get your rough opening in there, and then you set your window, you're looking at 2 inches. You're looking at about 4 inches down is what you need to be for your concrete opening. So let's make this 38 inches. I don't want to get too technical. I just want this to be real, feel real to you. Okay.
Yes.
So now he said it was a 4040, right? So we know that we have to go look at our window to see what the rough opening is, but we're going to assume that 4 feet is our rough opening for now. Okay. So we know we're going to have an inch and a half at the bottom for our rough opening. We're going to have a treated plate in there, like a 2x6 or a 2x8, right? To around the concrete. So we're going to make it 4'3". 4'3". Okay. And then what's that? 51. So what's that? 25 and a half. So now, and I'm sorry, I don't want to. I think since this is so close, what you do is we're going to cut out that whole thing and we'll frame that in. So, and I hate to get into too much detail when I'm just trying to show you how to use SketchUp, but I want this to seem real. I want this to seem like a real wall you're working on. Okay. And I think that if we teach people that this is real, uh, then they'll pay more attention to detail when they're doing it. So I'm going to come
It's
over
something
20.
to.
Let's see, 25 and a half, 25.5 that way, and I'm going to come over 25.5 this way. Now, maybe we should get to this point in your drawing before I get too far. So I'm going to come back
Okay.
here. I'm looking at your drawing now.
I'm gonna SketchUp orbit. The first thing to do was to delete this here.
Yeah, I
Is
don't
that
think. Yeah, that'll just be. We're going to change that later. We're going to add the floor later.
tape measure? Snap construction line 10 feet.
Uh huh.
10 feet. Bottom of the wall. 8 inches.
Mm hmm.
What's the next? I don't see any. Oh, I made a line at the bottom
That's
already.
okay. You can just do
Uh,
it again, and it'll make another one.
oh, there we go. 8. All right, from here, I don't know what's next.
Let's see. Go up 38 inches from there.
38 inches.
Mm-hmm.
38 inches.
That was just so that we weren't too high off the floor for the window. And now, what I would do is just snap one vertically on 25 and a half inches on either side of that one. There you go. The vertical line.
20.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh,
That one. 25.5.
right, and then
Mm-hmm.
25, 5 to the left.
Yeah, perfect. Now let's go back to my screen. That's okay.
Yep. Follow right behind you.
And what we're going to do is, again, a lot of this has to do with experience. The We don't want to leave in a little chunk of concrete like this because, first of all, the concrete guy is going to charge you more for forming that in, uh, forming up a concrete header. So we're just going to frame that header. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this, see this shape tool
Yes.
that we use our rectangle, and we're going to let it snap um, in that corner right there. And we're just going to drag it all the way down to that intersection. And see, basically, or you can take your pencil and draw that, you know, I've just found it's easier to
To,
use that rectangle tool and just draw that. Now, if I just select that, you see how it's its own face now. You see that?
Click. It said, "Well, yep, it's separate from the concrete
Yeah.
walls."
So basically, what I did was I
So,
separated this from that. Okay. Now that means I can take my push pull tool and I can push it back until it says you just um, there's a trick. Now this is where SketchUp is a little fussy. Okay, you have to move this around until it says on face, or just stop and it'll say on face, and let go and it'll delete the whole thing. Now this takes a little practice. I'm going to do that again in this perspective right here. I'm going to click on the with the push pull tool, and you see how it says first it said offset limited to 10 inches. Okay. Sometimes if you don't let it say on face, it won't delete that face.
oh,
It
it
it'll
so
it'll
the
leave it there. But it it figures that it wouldn't demonstrate that for me and work right now. so um,
it will just
so
face up the back wall.
let me come back to yours now. And let me
Okay,
okay. It takes there we go. Now um, what I would do is zoom in a little bit and get it to where you can work with that one spot while you're working. Because sometimes if you're too far away and you can't really see, you snap to the wrong place or something. So now take the rectangle tool,
rectangle tool.
and it doesn't really matter which corner you start in. Just yeah, go from there down to the bottom right.
Click.
Mm-hmm. Now, just to test it, have you got a different face there? Yeah.
Yes, one.
I'm really not happy with this video quality. I'm gonna fix that, and I'm gonna give you another free lesson just for the heck of it. So now, what I like to do is orbit to where you're looking a little bit more down on the wall. Uh,
So kind of like this way here,
now,
or
there you go, because you want to be able to see the back of the wall when you're push pulling. So now grab the
okay.
push pull tool. Maybe you don't have to be quite that steep. You just want to be able to see, the. I mean, I don't mean to be picky. I'm just saying you don't. It doesn't have to be that extreme. But
Just
now,
kind of where you see
yeah,
the back line on
yeah,
the wall.
you just want to be able to see that because it gives you perspective again.
Okay.
And this may just be me. I don't know. But now push that back and don't let off until you see the word on face, the phrase on face.
Offset limit
And now
10.
just stop for a second and see if it'll say on face, or just let go and see what happens. Well, it
Yep.
worked. Okay, sometimes the face won't disappear, and if it doesn't, you'll just have to delete it. That's all. You just
Okay.
the important thing is that you go all the way to the 10 inches. And the funny thing is that you can actually type 10 inches, and once you start, let's go back to my screen for a second. Um, Let me undo it. Um, Once you start pushing and pulling, you can still type an amount in, right? Like if I wanted to pull it out 10 inches, I could do that. Or if I wanted to push it in 10 inches, I can type it. It's just that since you've got that back face as a reference, you see how it said on the face first. I can just
Yes.
I can just let go. I don't have to type anything. But sometimes, and
It's
you'll
easier.
find that you'll see after about 10 years of working with SketchUp, you'll see that it gets fussy. And what happened, and it's always honestly, it's always kind of user error. Let's say let's say that this wall was maybe somehow I got it, and I've actually done this before, and it goes back to that selection stuff. Let's say that I had accidentally gotten this wall out of plane somehow and I didn't know it. Well, then it's not going to act the same, you see, and I'm not going to screw up my drawing, but you're going to see after enough experience, you'll see what I'm talking about. So that demonstrates how to cut an opening into a wall. And it's kind of fun, you know. Now, technically
It is
speaking,
pretty cool.
technically, let's say you had a window down here. Am I on the face? Yeah. And it was just a smaller, you know, it wasn't a big deal. And you just say you just wanted a little portal window like that. Now, it might be, in this case, um, it would be worth letting them form this up and pour concrete around it. You see what I mean? The problem with having little chunks of concrete at the top is that you get cracks. It would crack. The concrete would crack right here, right? And where it
Yeah.
wouldn't fail, it's just it's ugly. Now, if you decide that you don't care about that, and you're like me, and you just love concrete, and you don't care if it cracks, then you can put that back in like that. You can just draw a line across there. Let's do that. Let me come across. Did you see
And
how I did that?
yes, you drew a line and then used the push pull
Yeah.
tool to pull it to the other
Mm-hmm.
surface.
Let's see. For some reason, I'm not seeing your drawing. Let's
I
see.
see. Can you see now?
Yeah, now I can see. Yeah. So try that, and then I just wanted to let you know, like, if this is a house you're building, you would want to talk to your concrete guy about that issue. That's all I'm trying to say.
Okay.
Because I'm trying to
Yeah,
teach
just
construction and SketchUp at the same time. It's kind of hard, but you know.
I'm clicking on stuff. Uh,
So what I would
so
do is, um, for some reason, I still had the. Why did I have my line up there? Oh, go up. Pull yourself a
go
line up from the bottom of the window. Was it 4 foot 3? Yeah,
from
50.
here.
Yeah, 51 inches.
Uh, 51.
Yeah, now get to where you can see that end of that wall where that line intersects. And now take your pencil tool. I guess it's the line tool, and draw yourself. Now, what you want, this is the other thing you want to pay attention to is when you're drawing across that, make sure you're on the red axis.
That's the same. Got it.
There you go. See, you want to pay attention to what axis you're on because what happens is a lot of times when we corrupt our drawings, it's our fault. It's not SketchUp's fault. So if you don't get that line, if you draw that line at an angle, and it's really easy to do when you're working in 3 dimensions. People don't understand this how easy it is to screw this up, and that's why SketchUp
Because
has
yeah,
this. That's why they have these tools. The axis tool is because if you draw that line any kind of angle other than what you're supposed to, and you pull that across, you just screwed up your drawing. Because later on, when you start putting your window framing in, you'll say, well, "What's going on here?" You know, this side of the wall doesn't line up
it's
with
not.
the other side of the wall. You know, and it'll just drive you nuts, and you'll spend an hour trying to figure it out, and finally you'll say, "Well, dang, the line's not on the right,
On the
in
same
the
plane
right place." Yeah, so now you can use your push pull tool
tool.
to pull that over. And the neat thing about now that's not, yeah, go to the left a little bit. There you go. That's a scale button. That was a scale one. Just pull it over, and then this is the cool thing about SketchUp. It'll connect itself just by just using that point as a reference. Just you want to no, you want to undo that. I'll show you. Yeah, you want to come over and use the line as a reference.
The uh, this
Yeah. No, well,
online.
no, use the wall itself as a reference.
Oh, okay.
There you go.
And just
Yeah. Now,
got
see how it connected itself?
yes.
Now, here's what's funny is let me go back to mine. Leave yours. We'll just let me go back. Yeah, something, and it's already started. You see that line on top?
Here.
Yeah, that's not
Yep.
supposed to be there. Go undo, undo back to when you first drew the line. You can hit Control Z.
Control Z.
Yeah, you can type Control Z and it'll there you go. Now for some reason now push pull again. Come over and see if and just use the wall use the corner as the reference. Now let go. Hmm. Well, delete that line and see what happens on top. There you go.
Erase.
There you go. Okay, so if you delete it and the nothing and the face is still there, then it's okay. Now rotate to the inside and see if there's a line on the inside. No. Okay. Now see, this is what I'm saying. For some reason, that top line didn't disappear, and later on you might find out why. But for now, we're not going to worry about it.
Issue in the
Yeah. So now I think now is a good time. Let me go back to my drawing, and I'm going to delete all of these construction lines. And so I'm also going to. Oh, the other cool thing about push pull is that if I want to close up this opening, all I have to do is bring it to that point, and and then that'll erase it. That'll get rid of it. See, it's gone. Which I think is a cool feature because otherwise, if I undo that, if I try to just fill it in, then I have to delete some lines. See, now I got to delete those lines. But if I just use the push pull tool to delete the opening, then it's gone.
pull it across to the other surface.
Yeah, you just pull it to where it's closed, and it'll assume you want to get rid of all of it. So I think right now is a good time to make a group out of this because we're going to make the floor the inside. Um, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to select everything, and I'm just going to right mouse click and click on make group. Now you can see that there's a blue outline around it, right? If I click it
Yes.
now, you can see it's blue. So now the only thing about that is, and I usually would do, if I was working by myself, I would probably do all this work um, and then create a group, right? But I think now is probably a good time to show that. Let me see if we have any. Let me go back to my Barrett's music. Nice. That's my son Barrett. He has a I don't know if you know who he has a music construction studio, Barrett's Music, and he's a good son. But
I've seen that talking about his deck
yeah,
and everything. I watched that video.
yeah, he
He seemed like a
he
pretty
he
cool guy.
he is really cool. He's good to his dad too because he doesn't have to help me. He's helped me for part time for like I don't know 15 years or something, and and he always makes time to help me. So I don't know. I love him to death. He's a good son. I have two good sons. But anyway, let's see. So let's let's do let's go ahead and make. Let me come to your screen and go
Okay.
ahead and make that group because we're going to go ahead and make the floor after this, and I'll explain to you about why we make the groups.
Can I get rid of the
Yeah, I would delete
construction?
the construction lines. Yeah, and you can just drag your eraser across. Just drag it
This
across and holding the mouse button down. There you go.
uh,
You have to be careful though, because I've deleted whole groups of objects before, not known it, and saved my drawing, and I had to go back and read. So just be careful.
moving your eraser too fast.
Delete with care.
Double click everything. Cool.
Now, see, you knew a trick. How did you know that trick?
Lots of YouTube videos.
Okay, well that's cool. Cause see, and see that's why I say I'm not a SketchUp. Even though I've been using it for 15 years, so ever since it came out. Well, I started using it 2005. I guess it came out 2000. But I'm not an
SketchUp
expert. I have formed habits, and you're right that the easiest way to select a group is just to double click like that. But I've gotten into a habit of using that selection method, you know.
It's kind of this is, and
But
dragging from here.
yeah, and see, they're different because let's say you had the double click thing works with connected objects or connected entities, right? So if you had another box that you wanted to, like another little part of the house that was separate from that, you'd want to select it all. It wouldn't. I don't think you can double click and select. Draw yourself a little box on the side off that's not connected.
This square here.
Yeah, just and then raise it up for the fun of it. And just use the
Okay.
push pull. Create a little cube. Now that's the. Yeah, I know. I do that too. I'll sometimes grab that. Now,
Should I?
if you double click on the foundation now, you're just going to select the connected objects. You see, and if you wanted to create a
Yes.
group of everything, you'd have to select everything with the selection. Like,
That's just drag it
yeah,
across the
there you
whole.
go. If you wanted to group all that, there you go. Now you can right mouse click and create group.
Make it all look good. Got it.
Yeah.
So, so just different ways of doing
Yeah,
getting
yeah.
it.
Different ways of selecting. There's if you wanted to select that by itself, you double click on it like you did, and make a group. I would just delete that, and we'll start off with our foundation.
Okay. So
Yeah, go ahead and
right click,
right click,
make.
make group. There you go. Now, here's the key to why we do that. I'm going to go back to my screen for a second. Is I want to create
Following you.
I want to create a slab in here that's not stuck to this, right? What the reason we make groups, let me just demonstrate this, is now I can come in here and I can draw something. Let me get in a better perspective. Like I just drew a rectangle on the side of it, right? And I can pull that out,
Yes.
right? Now I'm gonna try to create interference with that wall. See how I'm pushing it into the wall? See how I pushed it through the wall?
Yes. And
So it's not because this is a group, this is not interfering with it now. See? Let's see. Okay. And if I go, let me just, and if I make this a group, now it's its own group. And what you can do is these objects treat each other separately. You see? Now, if I'm gonna screw up, I'm gonna I'm gonna explode that group, and I'm gonna explode this group. Now the problem is this interferes with they interfere with each other now. See,
it come
you see
up.
now I was able to create an opening, um, and they're interfering with each other. You see,
Yeah, it's like an attached surface
yeah.
or
And the reason I'm saying that is because you don't want when you start framing, when we start putting our seal plate down and our floor joist, you don't want them sticking to your wall. You want them to be separate from each other. It starts to make it more real when I can lay a plate down here. Let me see if I can undo back to the point where I'm just a. Let's see, is that a group now? I'm just gonna undo it all the way back to there. Yeah, I still have my group. When I start drawing this plate down here, I can just draw myself. You know, like I was doing earlier, I just start drawing like a rectangle, and I'll just make it for now. I'll just make it 24 by 5.5, and then I can pull it up inch and a half. You see, now I don't have to worry about that sticking. I can move it. See, I can move my plate around, and I can make that.
you.
I'll make that its own group, and we're going to do this. I'm just trying to demonstrate uh, right now. You see, Now I have a plate that's separate from my wall, and they don't stick to each other. See, if these weren't groups and I did that, now the bottom of that is stuck to that wall. As a matter of
Become
fact,
instead of just
I'll just
move.
I'm just gonna demonstrate it just to I'm gonna screw up my drawing just to demonstrate. I'm gonna explode both of them, right? Now I'm gonna grab my plate and try to move it, and look what happens. See, now it's stuck to it. You see?
Yeah, when you move it, you move the wall as well.
Yeah. Now, yeah. Once they're connected, um, then it assumes that you want it to be part of it. Connected to it. You see, and that's why we make our groups. The other thing is, let me get back to where I didn't screw up my group. Now I've still got my group. This is a group still. The other thing is that, and this is something I meant to mention in the very beginning. As you see here, does the trial version call it tags right here on this?
Um, yes, it's called tags.
You always want to draw in this untagged. In other words, um, you don't want to draw anything in another layer other than. So I just created two quick layers, right? Um, and this may be.
Tag one.
I just added two quick layers just for the fun of it, or I call them layers because they used to be called layers. They're called tags now. But what you want to do is you want to draw everything in untagged, and if you don't change this, you don't have to worry about it because, um, and this maybe get into too much detail in the beginning. Um, the main thing to remember is you always want to draw all your geometry, no matter what you draw, right? It doesn't matter. You want to draw it in this layer. I'm going to call it a layer because that's what it is. I know they changed it, but people are fussing about it, so I'm going to fuss too. Um,
So
this you see how this little pencil here is on this layer, and
pencil.
if I create more layers, the pencil is still on that untagged layer.
Yeah, you. That's the layer that you stick.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, the pencil that shows that you the pencil all the way to the far right.
yeah, that little pencil. See how I can change it? I can change it to these other layers.
Yes,
You don't want to do
I
that.
got.
You just want to leave it right there, and this will be something you just learn from experience. You all these, and the reason they changed this to tags instead of layers was because they weren't really layers per se. They were just a way to control views. So, and the way you do that is and I'm gonna delete these. We're gonna create a layer called um, foundation. Okay, and I'm gonna call it FNDN for now. Okay, I'm gonna say FNDN because you want to keep your layer names short and sweet. Um, and I'm gonna say foundation wall. Okay, and then I'm just going to create a few layers here just to demonstrate what I'm talking about. I'm going to create another one called FNDN, and you can name your layers whatever you want or your tags whatever you want. I've learned that you keep it simple and keep it organized. So we're going to have footing, okay, and then we're going to have FNDN um, slab, and sometimes people will accuse me of having too many layers, but then just to demonstrate how this is going to work, then we're going to have a floor, and I usually go ahead and type out floor because it's not that long. Floor framing, and then I would have floor um, sheeting. Now I can hear people screaming already. Okay, but the only reason I'm doing this is because you want to keep your categories together, right? So now I know if I want to find, before it's over with, you'll have layers wrapping all the way down here, right? Or but the reason you can find them easily is because you started them off with the category. Like I would have wall, um, like I might have exterior, you know. Then I might have wall, something else, interior. But all this is going to do, you see now, if I want to go find something in the floor area, here it is. If I want to find something in foundation, it's here. You see, then the next category might be roof, framing. You see, and then it might be roof, um, uh, uh, roofing, roofing, or roof metal. You know, you know. The point is that
Yeah.
you're organizing. You see, now I've got these categories: floor, foundation, roof, wall. Right, and if I'm scrolling up and down, I can find it, right? So right now, and the point to this was you don't have to create all these layers. I'm just trying to show you that now um, you're like, finally, you're getting to the point.
No,
Let me delete this. Um,
it,
I'm gonna,
actually,
I'm
was
gonna.
tags was something that I kind of didn't understand, so that was perfect.
Okay, good. I
The
don't want it to
details.
be anything. If anything's confusing, we'll spend whatever amount of time it is for me to help you because it does. It can get confusing. But the whole point of this is just to control visibility. That's all, and to organize your drawing. Okay, because now what I'm going to do, you see this entity info. I'm going to select this group and I'm going to put it into. You notice how I'm not selecting the geometry. I'm selecting the group and I'm putting it in foundation wall. Okay. Now, if I want to turn off the foundation wall, I just turn it off right here. The little eyeball. See. Now, if I click inside that group and I click on something, it's still going to say it's in the untagged. And this is the most important thing you can remember in SketchUp is never draw. Always draw your geometry or any lines, whatever it is, whatever you want to call it. Leave that in untagged. Okay.
Okay.
Don't change this pencil. Really, that's all you have to do is remember to leave this pencil alone, and you'll be good. I promise you. Um, and use put your put your groups in these layers. Don't put your geometry in these layers. Put your groups in there. And I promise you, what's going to happen is one day you're going to say, "Dang, I'm so glad Tony started me off on the right foot." Because here's what happens. Here's what happens. Let's say, and I'm just going to go ahead and show you. I'm going to put this window in wall interior. Okay. Now, let's see. This probably won't work because I have it. Now, if I turn off foundation, let's see. Where was I? Yeah. If I turn on, see, you see how it disappeared? Watch this.
The,
You see why you don't want to mix it? Watch this.
yeah, oh, yeah.
You see, because now I've got the geometry in this layer. I turn off that layer and the geometry disappears, but the group itself is in the foundation wall layer tag. So you see, you don't want to mix. You don't want to start mixing.
Different.
So, so what you want to do is leave your everything that you draw. And so now I feel like I corrupted my drawing, just for you, Marcus. I'm going to go back and put that back in untagged. Okay. So now I can control my views perfectly. If I want to turn off a wall, I turn it off. If I want to turn off foundation wall, everything goes with it. You see? So that's really, honestly, one of the most important things you can remember because I literally have, and it gets complicated. Okay, the more the more you get into SketchUp and the more you start drawing and the more stuff you have in your drawing, the more important that it is organized. Okay, because and this comes into play when you start like doing sections, uh,
Oh,
and you start and that I, that was a bad example.
actually.
Let me just you can click on one nice thing about when you create groups is you can double click on the group and just do a section on your group. See, um, but when you start getting into things like doing sections of your project and you want to start controlling what shows up in that drawing, then you'll see what I mean. I'm gonna undo that for now because I didn't want to get into that for now. But so I think what have you before we get run out of time? I wanted to see if if you were curious about certain features or way to do things um, before I go, before I just keep going down this linear path that I thought I would go. Do you have questions? Um,
Uh, not that I can think of. Maybe I should tell you. I should get advice from you on this. So what I do here in Michigan is I work for a lumber yard, Guthrie Lumber, and the blueprint that I sent you was one of our customers,
uh huh.
and we don't. Well, I think with every lumber yard, from my research, is kind of estimating is always fishy, some overestimated, underestimated, estimating issues.
Uh huh.
So I will, I'm want to become a salesman, and one of the ways that I think will help customers better is that I can present them a estimate with the actual visual, so they feel comfortable purchasing lumber and knowing that everything is there. They can actually see it instead of just looking at a piece of paper and assuming if you don't know what goes into a house building.
Uh huh. So you were wanting
So
to
I
like draw the
mean,
individual pieces like 2x4s and 2x10s and
yeah,
okay.
and
Well,
kind of tie it up.
that's interesting. One of the tools, and I can share this. I, one of the things you'll get into after you get into SketchUp is our extensions and plugins, right? And I really wasn't going to get into that, but there's some really good extensions. They're kind of expensive. They get kind of expensive though. Like this company called Medique has these extensions that do truss trusses, wall, and if you're going to get into that, it might be worth the investment. I'm not sure. You just have to think about it. But and
Okay.
back in the old days, I'll show you what I used to do. After I got my mud seal down, all the way around, I would uh, I would just draw myself a where am I? I'm at. Is that 2 feet? Yeah. I would just draw, and then I pull that. Let's say I'm using 2x10s. I would come up 9.25, which is the height of a 2x10, and then I would create a group, or actually I would create a component. But it depends on whether you want to fix. Let's just create a group for now. I don't want to get it complicated.
Are groups easier to work with than components?
So
Or
here's the thing. Let me show you the quick difference between the two. That's a good lesson. Um, let's see. Let me go to my materials right quick and give this some kind of color. Uh, let's see. Pretend you're not looking for. You're not. We're not doing this for a second. I'm gonna go.
okay,
I'm gonna go get. I'm gonna go get some material. A material number 4. I'm gonna get some hatches. Wait. Okay. Here we go. Yeah. This is what I want. I want this color right here, and this is That's the extension, and see that's too easy. That's why I wanted you to learn how to draw stuff first before. There are these extensions that literally will just draw everything for you, right?
Now you gotta,
And
wow, that's
yeah,
quick.
yeah, and I'll show you. And if you again, I'll show you that. But let me show you right quick about the differences between groups and components. Okay, because this is more valuable. This will be more valuable to you than even that extension. So these are two of the same thing, right? Let me just make them. So I'm going to make this one on the right a. Should I give it a little bit different? Let me make it a little bit different. Let's make it. Uh, let's pretend like it's like a piece of rim board or something. And
Okay.
let's and so actually I should have made this one. This would be more realistic if it was a rim board. Okay, so on the rim board, I'm gonna just be pulling it like I'm gonna take my push pull tool and I'm just gonna bring it to the end, right? Now I kind of skipped putting my mud seal down. You know what the mud seal is? The treated plate
The
that
plate.
yeah go on top of the wall. So I'm just and I'm
Yes.
so pretend it's there, and we didn't take the time to go around and put it all on. We can if you want to, but I just want to show you this. You see, since that's a group, and I can just use the push pull tool to quickly draw it, around the house. And if I really wanted to cheat, and I didn't want to spend a lot of time on it, I could just come over here and go. Well, it wouldn't be 1.5, but since it would be 1 inch, right? But since I already
Uh,
made it an inch and a half,
yeah.
I'll keep it that thickness. Draw yourself a line there and then start. Oh, I get it, Tony. You didn't see. I made a mistake. I didn't. I got to double click on it since it's a group, and then draw 1.5. If I want something to be added in that group, I double click on the group and I add it in the group, right? So then I can just pull it. Now this is kind of cheating because this is not going to look as real as you do it the way you know. Um,
If you was to make two separate pieces.
yeah, if I was to make two separate pieces, but if you're just trying to show somebody, where the rim board goes, that's a quick way to do it, right?
Okay. Yep.
You know, you see now, I'll show you. That's a group, okay? Um, did I draw? Yeah, I hate these construction lines getting stuck. I'm gonna delete it. Then I'm gonna click outside the group. Now, let's say I'm pretending like this is a joist. I wish I could quit scrolling so fast. Um, and let's put it. I'm just gonna put it right here, and then I'm gonna move it over 16 inches. It would be 15 and a quarter, but whatever. I'm just gonna put it right here for now, right? And let's say that I'm gonna make it. I'm gonna make it 12 feet long. I'm gonna come out here 12. Oh wait, I made it 2 feet, so I can just add 10 feet. Okay, I'm just gonna add 10 feet to it. 10 feet. Okay, so now I have a 12-foot joist, right? And I'm gonna make it a component. It's a group now, okay? But I'm gonna make it a component, and you can call it two by 10 joist or whatever, right? You can just name it whatever you want it to be, okay? Just so you can remember what it is in the future, okay? And you can come up with your own naming convention if you decide to do your list this way, you know.
Okay.
And let's pretend there's a beam out there, and if you and I were going to spend all day on this, we would draw a girder, and whatever we would draw. I draw everything, right? So, but you don't have 24 hours to do it. So, um, now I'm gonna copy these. I'm gonna. This is another good lesson here. See this move tool?
Yes.
It's next. I'm gonna grab that.
Right and push pull.
I'm going to click on this corner, okay, and I'm going to hold the control key down. I'm going to actually push the control key. You know, I've never really thought about this. I'm going to push the control key down first, and then I'm going to see how it copied it.
Yes,
Now I'm going to
and
type
left
in.
over.
I'm going to type in 16. Okay, and it went to 16. You see that?
Yep.
Now, before I do anything else, I'm going to type times 30 down in the bottom. You can see asterisk 30. Boom. Okay, I was close. But so now, um, now let's say now that's a component, right? Now what you can do is you can click on that, and you can go up here to your entity info box, and you see how it says component. You clicked on that component, and it tells you the name, definition. There's a 2x10 joist, and it shows you there's 31 in the model.
31 solid component.
Yeah, you see, and this is how you can get extensions that will export this data. So
And
if you organized your drawing properly, and you started off from scratch, and you did it just right, you could literally export a material list. I haven't ever done it because I like figuring my, you know, I like
material as
I go in, I do this, but I also count, and then I'll add, like a percentage of waste. So I'm an old timer, so I still count things. So, but new timers would trust their tools, and the problem is you had to have built this drawing just right. See, right?
and make them components instead of groups.
Yeah, yeah. If I had made this a component, um, if I had made this a group, well, I'll just select on this. You see, I get. Um, why is it actually telling me I have one in the model? Hmm. Now this is. I just. Am I going to learn something here? If I double. Well, I thought it only counted components. Let's see. If I click on, so I'm getting the volume. What am I getting that I'm not getting? And I click on this group. I literally did not know that it counted the groups. Let's see. What is the difference though? Was I able to, when I create a group, let me do something right quick.
I'm all aboard.
So let me just grab this and make a cube. Now I'm going to make a group. I do this so fast sometimes I don't pay attention.
Yeah, you
Now
kind of got
see,
your
when I created a group, it didn't come up with a window asking me to give it attributes, right? But if I click on that group and I say make it a component, you see I get this window. And I name it, I can name it cube or whatever, and I can give it a description, right?
own. Have it.
And then I create the bye. You're gonna go see granddad. Uh, then I copy it around, you know. Now I've got, three. I click on it, I've got three in the model. And I've got the attributes that I assigned to it, right? Cube. Now, I wonder if you can type in test one,
Is this
and then if I copy that, what will it do after I've labeled it? Yeah.
test?
So it's kind of, I didn't know, I'll be honest with you, I didn't know that SketchUp kept up with groups that way. I, I know that it's safer to create a component because here I'm going to demonstrate why. This is exactly why you want to create components instead of groups. Is that if let's say the floor plan changed and you had to move the girder over, Well, you can go in here and select any of these. As a matter of fact, I'll just select a random one, and I can move it. Let's say I had to move it back 2 feet. Well, now
Okay.
they're all going to move back. You see, and that's the beauty of creating a component is that once you copy that component around, all its attributes follow it.
Every piece.
Yeah. If I were to take and change a group, it obviously it wouldn't change. If I make this a group, if I can quit doing that, make that a group, and I copy it. Now, if I change this one, it's not going to change the other one. You see,
Yep.
so I don't
It's
have the benefit of that's the benefit of having a component. You see, and
so it's kind
I literally had this save my life one time, as far as time, because a customer wanted me to make. Um, they swore they wanted the first floor walls 8 feet on this house, and they changed their mind. And I was able to go in. They changed it to 9 foot, which is typical for like you know this for any kind of home, even not a custom home, even just a home that you're building for somebody that's just an average home. The first floor walls might be 9 feet, and the second floor walls would be 8 feet.
of yeah.
Well, I was able to go in and just quickly change the change everything because of I had used studs, components. I had built a stud that was a component, so I kind of saved myself.
Some time and
Yeah, because
instead of having
otherwise
piece.
I would have had a bunch of 1,000 studs that were just groups, and I wouldn't have been able to edit them all at the same time. I would have had to edit each individual stud.
And
You see,
yeah, that would have drove me crazy. Yeah.
yeah, and see the other thing is, once you have that component, and if you're building a symmetrical floor, uh, you know, what I do, what I would do next on my joists is I would create them as a group, and then and a lot of times your structure is symmetrical, right? And if they typically would be lapped like this, at least 6 inches, something like that. Well, now uh,
Hmm.
you see, now that's a whole floor system, and I've got
Yeah.
if I now I've got 62 of them, 2x10 joists, and really the what it should say is 2x10, by 12 joists. You know, so because what you would have is you would have a different component for each joist length. Let's say the floor it's like this, and let me undo. Let's say this side is longer, then I would create a separate. What I would do is I would copy one of these. And this is another good demonstration. Okay, I'm copying it, right, and I'm gonna move it over here. I'm gonna move it back 6 inches, let it lap, and then now there's a girder under that. Okay, people are gonna say, "Well, how are you doing that?" Now before I edit it, I'm gonna make it I'm gonna make it unique. Okay, you see, I'm not gonna edit this joist until I make it unique. Okay, now it's its own component. Now let's say I have a asymmetrical floor system where these joists are longer, and I want to pull this one. You see, it's not. Move it back even better.
Affecting the other
Yeah. Now it's
is
its own component. You see. Now I can copy this one all the way down, and it should just say there's one in the model. And see how it changed the name right there.
2x10 joist
Yeah.
one.
What I would do is I would now make it might be a 16 times 16 foot joist. Whatever it is, whatever I changed it to, I said 15%. That's funny. You see, now I've got, when you get your list, if you're going to export your list, then you've got that. But um, these 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 extensions are interesting because once, like on this, if um, let's put this, let's create a quick. I'm going to delete this. I really wasn't going to get into the extensions, but I feel like I want to, since you have a specific need, I'm going to show you this. Okay.
Well, I wouldn't mind just drawing it because that also gives me an idea of how everything come together. So it's kind of like a two in one.
Yeah.
I'm
And see, that's what I did.
me to kind of
I'm sorry. Go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
oh I would say it'd kind of be easier for me to like learn more about the field and explain and sell things to the customer if I fully understand how home building works as well. So if I would have to, when I'm going through blueprints and putting together material list, if I have to draw everything, it'll just increase my knowledge on the topic as well. So if this is actually perfect, I'll
Yeah.
draw on
Well,
them and build a sculpture.
what'll happen is what happened to my drawing? Oh, there they are. What happens is once you start doing this building, even one house three dimensionally like this, and then you go back and start looking at drawings, you will start seeing like this section here in your mind. You will see this three dimensionally. This is what a lot of people don't understand is that once you build something in a 3D model like that and you've built it with joists and studs and windows and doors, once you start looking at your drawings again, you'll imagine it in three dimensions in your head. And
You see it as
you'll
a
be a more effective estimator because you'll say, oh, this door has a knob, it has hardware, there's a door stop here. You'll start um, you'll start imagining, and you see these dashed lines. You're like, oh, that's a whole wall of shelving, And it's just it's funny how you look at things differently. Uh, once
when you understand it better.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, it kind of has a little bit of a negative effect because once I since I since I always do it this way now, I can show you models I've done that have like too many details in them. Um, I don't like working with just two dimensional drawings anymore. I haven't built a house in 15 years that I have not gone and made a model of. You see,
Wow. So
I haven't built a house, um, and I can show you every house that I've built. I can show you the model for it. And the reason
that's
is
pretty
because
sweet.
it's
That's
just
really
a
cool.
it's just a so much better, especially when you start getting into stairs and things that matter vertically, like just this wall height that we were talking about, right? The fact that you're going to have a floor in here and lay 3 inches of gravel, and these details matter. When you go out and you're talking to your concrete guy, and you can say, I need the elevation of the bottom of that wall to be 10 feet below grade because I'm going to have 3 inches of gravel and 5 inches of concrete. That's 9 foot eight. I'm going to have a plug.
Yeah, that
Their ears perk up and they're like, dang, okay, I get it.
you making a job easy. They don't have to guesswork and
Yeah, they feel more and they could just get to work, and that's the whole point. See, planning planning is the whole point of getting a job done efficiently. You know, so I spent on the house I'm living in right now that I'm in right now. I spent a year planning it before I started building it, and I did a complete model of it. And that's only because I had bought the lot and I was paying on the lot. And this is what I do: I'll buy a lot and pay on it. Try to pay it off before I start building my house. And so I have that time to plan, and that's the best way to do it. But let me
and
go. Let me stop talking about me and let's talk about what. you might need.
I'm interested. You,
Do you
you you
want
know a
to?
lot. I like hearing it.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I was saying, I like you know a lot of information. I like. I'm trying to. I'm taking it all in from you. I enjoy it.
Do you want to try to draw? Do you want to try to draw one of those joists and create a component? And
Yeah.
I'll come to your screen.
Did I make this a group? Do
It
you
looks
check?
like it is a group because it's got the blue outline when you select it. Yeah,
All one piece.
yeah.
Oh,
So you could go in
so
and do
we.
what like kind of do what I now. If you want me to show you how to do a quick plate, you want me to show you how to do like a quick mud seal.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Now this because I kind of skipped around a little bit. I got excited about the component thing. I'm just going to move this out of the way for a second. Um, so you do it the fastest way to do it, and the only reason I'm showing you this kind of a cheat is because the mud seal to me is I'm not really that interested in making a bunch of 12 foot or 16 foot 2x6s and just placing them around, right? Because really that's kind of I don't know. To me, that's something that's not really necessary. You might think it's different. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this the rectangle tool, and I'm just going to draw a big rectangle. And see, you can do this because we made this a group. That rectangle that I just made didn't stick to that. It's just a reference, right?
Yes.
And so that is
Is it?
now that's a rectangle with a face on top of that.
Did
Okay.
you pull it from one corner to the complete opposite corner, or that's just the inside?
Yeah, I probably
Okay, I see.
I should have done that slower because I know the video is not perfectly. Yeah, I went from that top corner all the way to the outside. It's basically the entire width and length, right?
Okay.
And now I don't have to worry about that sticking. I have a separate line now. See, I can select that line and its own line there. So what I'm going to do though is usually we use 2x6 pressure treated. So I'm going to get my offset tool like we used earlier. And I'm going to go down here and I'm going to pull this in 5.5 inches, 5.5. You can see it kind of snap to 5.5. And then I'm going to pull this up 1.5. You see I just cheated and made a plate all the way around. And now I'm going to delete that face on the inside. You see?
Yeah.
Now,
That's cool. Okay.
now, now what I can do is because the other thing that's nice about groups is I don't have to worry about when I select all that. As long as I don't select this entire group, I can just easily select all that geometry now because unless I select the whole thing, I'm not selecting the group and the geometry I just drew. I can just get it to an angle to where I can see it all. And this is what's handy about the difference because you see, I only selected the stuff I wanted to by using that box. If I drag it to the left and I've got a dash line, it's going to select everything.
Okay.
So I just want to select that plate, right? So now if you look, I've only selected that. Now I'm going to make it a group. Okay.
Hmm.
Now I can move that around. Let me go ahead and make it a color just to show it is different. Um, you see, now I can now I can move that plate around, up and down. I can move it around if I want to, and I can just put it back. You see,
It's a separate
and
group,
that's yeah,
other from.
it's yeah, that whole thing is its own group. You see, now the difference here's the other difference between a group and components. When I select that group, it's just one group, right? It's
Yeah, it's
it
one
really
whole group.
it doesn't have any
Every.
real data associated with it. It's got well, what's funny here is it's got 7.9 cubic feet. I guess if you really wanted to get desperate, you could do the math and figure out how many board feet, but that doesn't make sense. That has to be That's yeah. I guess it is cubic feet. Yeah. So if you wanted to figure out how many board feet of tree 2x6s, you could this way. But again, if you wanted to create a 2x6 that was 16 feet long and just copy them around, then you would have the number of 2x6s that you wanted. Does that
for
make
the
sense? But
yeah for
I sometimes I have to I kind of temper myself on you know I'm really not going to win an award for creating a bunch of 2x6s and I mean what's useful to me is knowing the number of joists and that kind of thing. I just when it comes to this I just want to cheat and get the plate over with, right?
so yeah, you know
Yeah.
it's there.
It's there. I've accounted for it in the height of the wall, and now I can take all my stuff. I'm just going to grab all this and put it back on top of that. So that's accurate now. You know, uh,
From,
yeah. So let's let me come to your screen now, and
okay.
you can create that same thing. That way, people won't accuse us of skipping the mud seal. We call it mud seal, rat seal. What I don't know what you all call it in your area.
Must seal. Must
Yeah,
seal is
yeah. So I've heard people call it rat seal. Uh,
keep from the animals from getting under the
yeah, the
house.
old timers called it a rat seal.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I actually heard that recently. So the first thing we would do is
I would
create
I would
the
I would rotate that. Rotate it so you can see more of a top view, just a little bit more of a top view. Rotate it. There you go. So you can see the corners. There you go.
like that there.
Yeah, that's
Okay,
good. You just want to be able to see the corners easily, so that when you're referencing them, you don't have any trouble. Because sometimes
finding
those
them
if the inside corner might be closer to the other one at that view. So yeah, so you just use that rectangle.
and start from the
Start.
very top of the
Yeah,
endpoint and group.
yeah,
Put from that endpoint to the out.
all the
And,
way to yeah. Make sure zoom in. See, that's why you want to zoom in a little bit. You can zoom
uh,
in while you're there. You go. Perfect. Right there. Boom.
so then we would offset, correct?
Right. Mm-hmm.
You said five from
Yeah.
the outer
Zoom in a
edge.
little bit more so you can kind of get her. Yeah.
Yeah,
There you go. And it doesn't really matter as long as because you can still type the amount in. 5.5 is what a 2x6 is. 5.5 inches. There you go. And then,
push pull the
mm-hmm.
out
Yeah, push pull up. And again, sometimes it's good to get in a view. There you go.
that you can.
Yeah, you
Gotcha.
can kind of get the
Uh,
1.5. Perfect. Now zoom in and kind of double check to see it all looks good. Now you can delete that interface. You don't need it anymore.
this one here.
Mm-hmm.
Delete.
Now,
Okay.
now you
Now
can kind of get
there.
at an angle, so you can just select the top.
The so that would be kind of
There you
lower,
go.
like
There
here.
you go. Now, there you go. Now, now you can just select all the stuff on top.
Did I do it
Did
right?
you get all of
Uh,
it? Yeah.
I'm I'm gonna orbit up so we can. Is that
Yeah. Yeah.
good
Now,
to you?
yeah.
Oh,
Now you can right mouse click on that
right mouse.
and
Make group.
make group. Mm-hmm.
Make group. Let's try to
Now,
move it.
um, here's the here's the fun part about applying finishes or materials. Um, go to your. Oh, you don't have it, do you? Oh, yeah, you do. Go to your materials window
Serious?
there. Uh huh. Why is it not showing anything? Oh, there it is. The one I use for the pressure
It was
treat. What's that?
used. it wasn't. I didn't have the drop down button
Oh yeah,
open.
this is not perfect, but I'll that I use that green one to show my mud seal since it's treated.
Just on
Yeah, uh huh.
yeah. I started watching your videos, and you use that material as a green board as a weather treated. It looked just like it looked at the yard, so I was like, okay, that is the best one to describe
I know it's
to
very.
visually show.
I don't know why they call it. I mean, I know it's supposed to be treated plywood, but it works really good for the. And the thing is, once you have the group selected, there
You can
it'll apply that to all the faces in the group. That, but if you were to select if you were to double click on the group, it would just apply to the faces that you like. Say you didn't want to apply that material to all the faces, you would have to double click on the group and go in and select each face. That makes sense.
and okay, yeah, because if you this if you because once you apply a material to the group, it's gonna put the material and everything inside
Yeah,
the group. But if
yeah.
you want to know one inside the group, you
Now
got
the
to edit the group and
now the faces thing work. The materials thing worked just like you did earlier when you double clicked. You can double click on all the connected faces, and it'll select
and
all the connected faces, and then you can apply. There's a concrete one
different.
too. If you go out of that, if you click on the outside of the group, it'll stop editing that group. Go to go back to your pull down on the menu. Oh no, go see where it says wood right there. Yeah, pull down
Yes,
and go to concrete. Where is it?
asphalt and concrete.
Yeah, there you go. There's a couple of cool concrete ones. Uh, Hover
I
over
mean,
a couple of those. Go
polished concrete
no,
new.
go up. What's that one? What's that? No,
Uh,
that. No, what's
this
the
one here,
one? What's the one lower left?
lower left, concrete form 4x8.
See what that one looks like. Click on your foundation and see if you like
Okay.
that one.
So,
You
hold
know
it
what's
down
funny
so you
is
take
I think they added that. I don't remember that. I don't remember that.
this
That's
one.
kind of interesting. And you see what you know what's funny is it's accurate because you see that 1 foot form mark all the way around the top because we made the wall 8 feet. I mean 9 feet instead of eight.
Yeah.
That's actually accurate. That's amazing.
So did this material come based off how we built? Did it do it based off how we built the?
No, it just looks right because we built our wall right. You see,
Okay. Yeah.
no,
The one.
that material you could apply that material to anything. You know, a sphere or whatever. It would look funny, but you can apply that material to anything. But because we built our wall, we drew our wall correctly. It looks real. You see,
Yeah. Yeah. That looks amazing.
yeah.
The
I've yet
green border.
that is new. They let me go back to my drawing for a second and see if I have. I'm gonna
I'm
be
coming.
jealous if I don't have that one. I'm gonna be mad. What about that? They actually. I can't believe they add. I don't remember that. Let's see if I go from here to there. Yeah, it's even 4 feet. What about that? Hmm.
4'8". Wow.
Amazing. That's honestly now. That's pretty cool. Now, um, and then the reason that's kind of cool is because you can demonstrate to your customer that those form lines will actually be embedded. I wish I had a picture. What picture do I have? That you would the lines ghost through the wall. In other words, so when you remove your forms, there's like a darker line there. It's not quite this pronounced. It's not that thick, um, but there is a ghosted line there, and you can't get rid of it. You can't even sandblast it off. It just for some reason it ghosts.
It's
It's in the wall, you know. And so if people say, "Well, I want my concrete exposed," you say, "Okay," but sometimes these guys, I've literally seen this where the 1 foot form was down here and the 8 foot form was on top, and sometimes you don't know what you're going to get, you know. and it'll be like in out in just a random spot, you know. Because
See,
they don't care. They think you're going to put brick or something or stone over it, but
they don't care about the actual appearance of it as long as the dimensions are correct. The
yeah,
eight
I
one.
think I have a picture right quick I can show of. Let's see if I do. So I don't want to take too much of your time up, but let's see. Where
Hey,
is? Let's see. That's not it. These are all the projects that we've done. Uh,
you do
I know I have a picture
great work.
somewhere. There's my son. That's the old picture. This is a
There.
picture right here. I know you can't see it. It's too small. Oops. Oop, what
The,
happened? But can you see those lines? Those vertical lines? Let me see if I can find a better
in
picture.
the cement way.
Yeah. Let me see if I can find a better picture. There's a line.
Oh,
See
you
that
do it.
line that ghosted right there?
Let's see.
See where I don't let me see if I can find a better
Uh,
picture.
let's see.
These are awful pictures because they I took them from a recovered drive, and I haven't replaced them yet. But anyway, and I'm not on
You do really.
I'm on my new laptop, so I can't get all the pictures that I wanted to. I shouldn't have gone there because I couldn't get the picture I wanted. But but anyway, the point is that these lines won't be pronounced, but there is a ghosted kind of a ghosting, and I think it has to do with the way they oil their forms, and maybe the oil collects a little more in the cracks of the forms. I don't know. I've had theories about this. I haven't quite put my finger on it, but for some
And they
reason
sit.
it doesn't matter. You can grind the wall and the line will still be there. So the ghosted line goes through the thickness of the material deeper than you think it does. So anyway,
Hmm.
um, let me go. Wait a minute. Well, I kind of got ahead of myself. I'm going to go back to your screen
Oh, we go.
and let's draw.
SketchUp.
Let's draw your joist. Uh, let's draw a joist, and then you can create a component. Or do you want to do the? Do you want to do like a rim board first, or what
Uh,
would you like to do?
we can do a joist or rim board. It doesn't matter. I can do a. The rim board will go around the complete foundation.
Yeah.
Okay,
If you wanted to
and that
cheat,
will sit
if
on.
you wanted to cheat like I did, for just the rim, you could just do exactly what you just did, but pull it up, the height of the joist and only the thickness of the joist. So, like on the drawings that you sent me, they're using wood eye joists, and so you would have a
Yeah.
1 inch thick rim. So what I would do is I would just make a big rectangle again on top of your mud seal.
Let's zoom. Come up so we can see every corner. Just kind of zoom in. Rectangle. Put.
There you go.
Put.
You just need to do what I do and don't worry about people complaining about you zooming a bunch. And just I like to zoom into where I can see the point. Now,
It makes it easier on you.
yeah, now get your offset and a rim
Offset.
board. The rim board material is actually an inch thick, not an inch and a half like I made it. So you might want to zoom in a little closer to do this one.
And then pull from
Yeah.
here again
Uh huh. And just go one.
and make comma
No, just one
or just
inch.
one.
Yeah. There you go. Now you can pull it up 11 and 7/8.
Nice.
There you go. Now delete that interface again.
Delete.
Now I would again. Now this is where you'll have to be a little bit more careful. let me show you how to get in a view that you can select all this at once so it doesn't drive you crazy. Um,
Okay.
I'm not on your drawing for some reason.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you was going. I went to your
Oh,
screen or to the
I see
share.
what you thought I meant now. I got you. Click. See the little house to the right of the top view that we were using.
The kind of ISO
Yeah,
view here. Top.
to the go to the right of that.
Okay, this one here.
No,
Oh,
go.
right, this
Yeah,
one.
there you go. There you go. See how it puts it in that view. Now go up to your view. No, go up to your camera button menu item and type
Camera
on parallel projection.
parallel
Now,
projection.
what this is going to do, now zoom in as close as you can without, so you can still see the edges. Zoom in closer, closer. Okay. Now, what this is going to do, zoom out. You want to be able to see both ends of the wall. Okay. Now, take your selection tool, your pointer. Now, start up at the top left-hand corner. Um, uh, you don't have to go that far. Just above your band board. There you go. Now,
Okay,
pull it all the way to the right and below. Start
kind of
selecting. There you go. No, no. Now, just go to the very bottom of your band board, but don't include the mud seal. Go down right below, like halfway down on the mud seal. Right there. Now let
kind
go. Now, right now, what you just did is you put that in a view so that you could see everything in that plane, and you only selected everything in that plane. You see, now you can go back to your camera and push perspective, I think, again.
of perspective.
Now, kind of rotate it up, and you'll see that you selected everything. Um, see,
That yeah, that's pretty cool.
yeah. Now, see that
Yeah,
helps you select it so that you don't have to worry about selecting your other. Now you want to right mouse click on that and make a group out of just your band board because you don't want anything else sticking to it. There you go. Now you
that's
can
pretty.
go to your material and get that OSB looking stuff if you want to make it a, you know,
What else be?
yeah,
And
there you go. Now, if, the other thing you can do to those materials is click on edit and zoom in a little bit
uh,
closer to the, zoom in a little closer to the material so we can see this. Um, zoom in a little
should
bit
I?
closer. Yeah, zoom in. Yeah, just zoom in a little closer so we can see the material. There you go. Now, on the right there, right above the word wood, there's an edit button.
Edit.
Click on that. Now you can, if you don't like that the way that tone of that is, you can take that little scroll bar and move it up and down and change the brightness or darkness. You see, because
Yeah, that's
I always thought that that was more realistic if it was a little bit darker.
yeah. OSB. Room board is a
Yeah,
little.
yeah. It's not quite as pretty as they got it. You
Yeah,
know, so that's how you can change that material.
and make it a little darker if
Yeah,
you need to.
whatever you know want to make it,
Hmm.
and then so then you can just now I guess it's what's funny is if you're selecting, go up to the entity info. Um,
Entity info.
yeah, above, you see
Uh,
above the tags there. Oh, you know what? Go to where it says window on. Oh, is it up there?
I think it's yes up there. I just
Okay,
gotta
okay. Here, let me show you how, in case something is not on that menu. Go over to the window, up at
window
window menu. Click on default tray,
default tray.
and you will see those are the items that are in your default tray. So let's say you wanted to use the oh, you need the scenes. Click on scenes.
Scenes
Yeah,
are right
yeah.
here.
There you go. Now I'll show you how to do that in a minute. But see, that's how you control what is in your default tray.
Okay.
So
That's
now, um, close that, minimize that scenes. Now, minimize them all for right now, and I'll show you how to. Now, you don't have to do this, but I like my tags. Kind of drag the tags up under the entity info because you're going to use your layers more than you have to kind of hold your button down. There you go. And then the outliner can go at the
okay.
bottom.
Of everything,
Yeah, down at the very
kind of.
bottom. And then that's about right. That's about the right. That's the order. I think you can change it later, but I think you're gonna like that order. Um,
Okay.
that's about the order of importance that you use them basically. Um, so if you were to click on entity info now, what does it say about how many cubic feet does it say?
11.
11.57. Where's my calculator? I don't want to take up too much of your time, but let's see.
Hey, you helping me out, so I can't complain.
Let's see. If we had, let's just see if we're anywhere close. If we had 45 plus 45 plus, let's say 25 plus 25 times 1 equals, let's see, divided by 27. That would be
Is that
5 point. Yeah,
for cubic?
yeah. So that's the number of cubic feet. Yeah. Um, so you could, if you wanted to, you could use that to. That I guess what I'm looking at is your need. I'm thinking about your need of estimating. I mean, to me, what I would do is I would take the linear footage of the house and then just divide it by the. What does rim board come in? 16 foot, or does it come in?
Uh, 12 foot. Well, I think it comes in 16 foot, but we stock it in 12 foot
So
sizes.
so you just take the linear footage of the house and divide by 12, and that's easy enough, right?
Yeah, that's simple math
Yeah.
there.
So it's probably that's why on these things like that are just like this, rim boards, mud seal, I just draw them like that way to save a little time. I did on one job. I thought, okay, I'm going to draw every rim board. I'm just going to take a bunch of 12 footers but you have to cut them. It's like,
Yeah,
and I swear sometimes it takes longer to draw things sometimes than it does to actually do it in real life. I can grab a board and cut it quicker than I can draw the board and then cut it.
yeah.
Measure
Pull the
it.
tape out,
Yeah.
cut.
so, um, so why don't you draw a joist now, and we'll
Should I just go to top view maybe?
let's see. No, I'll just
Oh
get it
no,
in a go back to that perspective view for a minute. Just what I would
this
do.
one here.
Let's just draw it. Just go to where you can see the mud seal.
The must seal.
Yeah, just kind of get in there where you can. What I would do is draw it.
So
Uh,
kind of like this,
there you
or
go.
should I come this top?
Now, what you want to do is
Kind of
kind of zoom in. Now like that. Now just zoom in closer to the mud seal where you can see what you're drawing. Now move it over to the left a little bit, or move it to the right. I'm sorry. There you go. You knew what I was talking about. Uh, now take your rectangle tool and just draw what you imagine is a
to the T.
skinny. Yeah, just kind of start pulling it down and to the left, or I guess you can do it that however you want to.
But
Just
it would probably this way.
yeah, there you go. Just kind of draw what you think looks like one. And the
Okay.
reason I'm saying that is because it gives you pull it down towards you a little more.
Kind of
The reason I'm saying that is because once you start looking at your dimensions down in the bottom, you'll see what the orientation is, and you can make it that orientation. Otherwise, it's going to change orientation on you. So what
So this would
you see now, you see you can tell now you know which number to type first. You know
be
you
four and a half.
just
The
type. Yeah, what I do is I just type 12 comma 1.5. That's what I would do, and that'll draw you a rectangle 12 inches long. There you go. You see, I was just trying to see what orientation it was because you wouldn't want it to go the other way. It's easier to work with it when it's going the right way. So now pull it up. Oh, you know what? You need to draw a. Let's draw. Let's draw. Just come up 1.25.
1.25.
Yeah, I'm gonna draw you a wood eye joist here.
Ooh.
Oh, oh, wait a minute. You had something going. Just what happened?
Oh, I let's see. Should I? You said Control Y is the redo.
No,
Control.
you can't. I don't think you can do it. There you go. Yeah. Now just pull that up 1 point. I think the bottom, the wood eye joists are not inch and a half thick. They're like, uh,
Are
yeah.
2 inches from. Oh, laptop dying. The flange on it is from flange to flange. It's
2.5. I know some of them are 2.5 inches wide, but they're not inch and a half thick. I don't think.
oh no, as far as the long way or the complete height is
Well, now I'm talking about. We're just trying to draw the bottom chord right now.
oh okay.
Yeah, they're 11 and 7/8 inches tall, but we're not going to draw the whole. We're just drawing the bottom chord right now. As a matter of fact, if you, I
Uh,
could, you were able to plug it in.
you want me to make it 1.5 or two?
You uh, you can make it. I don't think they're an inch. You just make it an inch and a half for now. I don't think they're an inch and a half thick, but they you can make
Uh,
it that. I don't think they're that. I don't think the top chords are that thick. I have
I don't.
no.
I don't are either actually.
I would make it 1 1/4, 1.25. That's what I would. If you want it to kind of look real, uh,
They actually do look a little more realistic for a flange on the eye joist there.
how thick is that?
That's 1.25 inch and a quarter.
That is okay. Now make it make it an inch wider. Just pull it on the side.
To push
Yeah, that's there you go.
one.
Now, now make yourself a get to where you can see the top of it a little better. Now get yourself a construction line and put it in the center. Your construction line will be your tape measure.
So just
We want to
draw
make
it across.
well. Okay, so no, not the pencil. We want to do a construction line. So get your tape
Oh,
measure.
gotcha.
Yeah, because you just want to now come from the side.
Here
Now go up in the middle of the board. There you go, about right there. Now start dragging to the left.
to the left.
Now come down there to the center, right there. Now let that go right there. Now zoom in to where we can see a little better. Now, now offset. Let's see. Are we going to call this half inch? How thick? The web's only like
Like a probably a.
it's not. Is it a half inch or is it?
It might be a little thinner than that actually.
I think it is. I think it's more like 3/8.
Yeah, 3/8 sound really accurate
So let's do 3/16 as an offset on each side. So just now you can click on that line that you have.
on the construction
Yeah,
line.
you're going to draw. Now you're going to construction line. Uh, go back to your construction line.
Oh, construction line.
Now go to the right 3/16.
3/16. Click on it.
Yeah,
Do I,
drag. Yeah, you're gonna make yourself another construction line. Now here's the trick. Let go of that. Don't just
Like,
forget that. Just hit
okay.
escape. Now, don't click on the center of something when you're making a construction line. Come down a little bit. Come, come, come. There you go.
More.
Now pull it over to the right, three
Three.
sixteenths. I can't see. Is it? There you go. Now type 3/16.
I got it. Oh, I guess you can't see it. I pulled it off, but
No, I'm kind of frustrated with my video quality, so I'm going to fix that on this. I appreciate you putting up with that, but
hey,
now you can from that line go 3/8 to the left.
to pull from this line over three
Yeah, you
eighths.
can either go from the center 3/16 or 3/8 from that line. Yeah. Now's when I would get my pencil and draw my thickness. Um, I would draw those two outer lines down. See, so what I do is I use the construction lines to do all my references. And you want to kind of get your view where you can see both ends of the. Maybe it's just my view. I can't see both ends of the board. There
No,
you
I
go.
couldn't.
There you go.
Yeah,
Now you want to, because you want to again, you want to make sure you're snapping at the right place
so
with your pencil. There you go.
check it. One, and then let's move back. Two lines.
Now, what would that be? Would be what's the let's see the let it would be 5. This is what we get for not making an inch and a half. Now we have to do real math. So that's the two. Uh,
For the
that's two and
is
a
it
half minus 11 and 7/8. I tell you what, let's just do this easy. Um,
push pull down?
take your trying to think of how I'm trying not to corrupt you right off the bat. I know how sometimes I just kind of rig things. I would just like um, get kind of where you can see at the side.
Of the
Yeah, kind of get a side
to kind
view.
of
There you go.
like this here.
Yeah, now select that whole thing and you're going to copy it. We're going to copy it and move it up. Well, I tell you what, first of
Just
all,
gonna
put yourself a construction line. Take your construction line tool. Yeah. Now
construction.
go from the bottom, that bottom corner right there, and come up. No, don't. I don't mean the. I'm sorry, not the corner. The edge. I should have
This
said. Yeah,
here
yeah. Now come up. Now type in 11 and 7/8.
11 7.
Now you should kind of be able to back out and see it up there somewhere.
Here.
Well, duh, it's at the top of the ring board. Okay, there we go. Now select that whole thing, or select your 2x4, your bottom chord. Just make sure you select all of it. Yeah, make me happy and just select all. Just humor me and make sure
Is
you.
it?
Okay, now
Is it
now take your copy, take your move tool. This is going to be a good
move
exercise because
tool?
we're going to copy now. The little crosshair thing. Yeah,
This one here.
yeah. Now select. Don't select that corner. Select the top corner of that.
This one
Yeah,
here.
there. Yeah, because you're going to use that as a reference. Okay, now hit the control key and pull that up.
Control.
Pull it up now. There you go. Now let it come up on the blue axis until you hit that. Now hit your now. I said stop right there. Now push your shift key, and what that
Shift.
shift locks that axis. Now raise it up and down. You'll see that you're locked on the blue axis. You see now you can't screw
Yep.
up. Now now reference the top of the band board. And I should
Top of
the
oh here.
yeah the rim board.
Uh
Sorry. I should have remembered this. We already had something to reference. There you go. Now let go. No,
oh. Oh
don't
yeah. I
click.
let go.
Just
I let go.
let go. Don't click. Yeah.
I let go of the shift key instead of the
Yeah, you gotta.
so.
There you go. Once you get your height, just let go. Let your finger off the button.
Alrighty,
You don't have to click. You can just let go. Now you can now you can get your push pull tool
push pull
and select that middle face
and
that you created.
this one.
Yeah. Now go up. Now go up to the bottom of that band. I mean that top chord. You see, now you can go to the corner so you can reference the corner. There you go. See that corner? There you go. Now, now delete the line so that you can push pull the whole end. You see the line at the end of the board that connects the little
This line.
yeah, you see that little half inch. You see the part that connects the two. You see,
Uh,
okay. So go on the end. Let's start. Let's go. Go on the end of the board. Go on the end of the face, and get your pointer.
on this
Get your pointer tool, the selection tool. There you go. Now go down. Go to the thickness of the rim board. Now go to
thickness of
the line that separates the two.
here.
No, the horizontal line that separates the top chord right
This one
there.
here.
Now,
Yep.
now delete that. You don't have it connected, do you? There you do. Yeah, you do. Good. Now go down and delete the bottom one.
And this one,
Oh, you
I
don't
think
have
this
it.
one is
Good. Yeah, you don't have it. Good. Now delete your construction lines and
so I can just hold my.
be
Oh,
careful. No.
that
There you go.
was,
See, gotta be careful. Don't drag it. You'll have to just do them individually. There you go. Now, here's the funny thing. I've actually deleted things before and I didn't know I was, so you got to be careful. Now, one thing you can do is once you're happy, just to demonstrate this, right mouse click, take your selector and select the foundation. Uh,
foundation.
yeah, now right mouse click. Now push lock. Click on lock. There you
Rock.
go. Now lock your. I've learned this the hard way. Now you can lock your erase. Once you once you get to where you know for a fact that you're not going to be editing anymore geometry, you can just lock it. Now you can't delete it.
So now it's kind of like I'm just working on this on the eye joist itself. Nothing else can be altered until I
Yeah, right. And that way you could have dragged your mouse, your eraser, and deleted those construction lines without having to worry about deleting all that other stuff.
that's
Now
pretty.
go delete the two lines on top of the. You know the only thing about this is um, um,
I'll delete these two lines here.
yeah, if we want
Ah,
this to kind of look real, um, take the take the materials button
materials.
and make the two, the middle core, the OSB. You're
So
just
that
gonna
one
have
could
to
be
select the get to where you can see the faces, not the end. Um,
just center.
undo that, undo that. Yeah. Now do the sides. There you go.
And,
Do the. Now I forgot how to do the other. Go back to the wood and see
uh, uh,
what you go to select.
and
Um,
edit.
yeah. Now go to what I forgot what I've done here. What's that one that's second to the from the that one
This
right there? What
one,
is that?
cork, wood board cork.
See what that looks like if you just apply that to the surfaces on the top. What does that look like? Now, if you hit the end, you're gonna. I guess it doesn't really matter, but it's. Um, I wouldn't worry about the ends because they're going to be covered up. But whatever you want to do, to make that. Uh,
Look like a piece of engineered lumber.
well, it's not engineered lumber though, is it? It's just solid. It's pine. So they really. This is one thing. Uh, I know what to do. I've got another 10 minutes or so. I don't want to spend too much of your time, um, doing this kind of stuff, if unless you like it. But you can
Oh yeah.
go to Window and the File menu. And can you get access to the 3D Warehouse?
Yes, I think so. 3D warehouse.
That's right, because you're signed in because you got the trial right.
Yes.
Type 2x4
2 by 4.
and just hit enter and see.
Lumber.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Just hit enter. Now, do you see if you can find a two before that you like the hatch? People, this is kind of cool. People draw their own models and upload them, and sometimes you can find some cool materials, like on that. What is that right there where it says 2x4? What does that look like?
This
I
one.
can't really. To the right, where there's three of them,
Oh, this one here.
or which one looks more real in your view? I can't tell.
Uh,
Probably.
these look like pretty good SPF number twos.
Okay, well, just download that, and I'll show you how to copy the material. So
Load
yes,
directly into SketchUp model.
yeah, mm-hmm.
Yes.
Now just put it somewhere over to the side. Now take your go to your click on your materials uh, button. Now you see the little eyedropper right there.
Here.
Uh huh. Click on those. Click on that. This what you just downloaded with that. Okay, then you have to. I guess you'll have to go into the group. No, there you go. Now you can apply that. Apply that to your stuff and see what it looks like.
That's pretty neat.
Yeah, that's how you can kind of. Now I'm also going to show you if you really want to get anal about this. You can.
I do.
You can. Okay, good. You can. Now you can. I tell you what. Go ahead and apply it to all the surfaces first. See, is it going to be oriented all the same way? Let's see. Yeah, you might want to change the orientation. Let me show you how to do it.
Okay.
Take your selection. And you're going to have to kind of rotate up so you're looking kind of at the top of the board like that. And back out just a little because you're going to need to see. Okay. Now, you'll see what I'm talking about in a second. Take your selection tool, your pointer, click on that texture,
This
and now
texture.
right mouse click.
Right mouse.
Go down to texture
Texture.
and position.
Position.
Now you see those little corners. You see the green one.
Yes, this one here.
Yeah, you can rotate it around where that's now rotated. Rotate the texture around with that. You
Do
need to
I?
drag it. No, no, no. What did
Oh,
you do?
click.
There you
I
go.
think I.
Now rotate it around where it looks like it's in a linear, more linear. So it'd be like 90 degrees, right?
Okay.
There you go.
Here.
Yeah, right there somewhere. There you go. Now let go.
Just let it.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
Now click over to the side. Click out of that. There you go. Now see, you can. What I'm trying to show you is you can manipulate the texture position. You see how it looks more real now because
Yeah.
it's
The.
not. It's not the grain's going in the right direction.
Yep.
Now you can. You should be able to reselect that with the eyedropper, and it should change the orientation of the other ones.
I'll put it on this one here. Yep.
There
It
you
did.
go. Now you can just select the. If we had done this properly, we would have made the top and bottom groups. And but I'm just trying to to a
So
certain extent, trying to save a little time, trying to show
the
you how you can do it on your own.
the
Now,
top and bottom would have been so we would have made the bottom part of the eye joist, the top part of the eye joist, and then the
yeah,
center band, and then made it all one group.
I've
Okay.
actually if you really want to get anal, you can make the core go up in, you know how it goes up into it a notch or whatever,
Yeah.
and you can really get right. And in the end, you're like, did I really just spend 2 hours drawing all that? You know, but it's the experience, right? You can decide for yourself from now on whether you want to do that or not. And what I would do is, if you're going to do it, I'd probably zoom in a little bit and go ahead, because one thing you don't want to do is, well, it doesn't matter. You know why it doesn't matter? Because once you create this as a component and you edit it, they're all going to be changed. So right now, you can just kind of select that uh, the eye joist,
Just
select the whole thing. Now right mouse click and create a component.
make
Make component. I keep saying create. Now you can call it eye joist or whatever you want to call it. 24-foot. What I would do is, if you're going to be doing a materials list, I would, whatever length you're going to be making it, I would name it that, because if you have different lengths of eye joist, you're going to want to know, um, which ones they are.
which,
So
which
without,
okay,
so that you don't have to select, yeah,
each
so
piece to find out
yeah,
which one it is.
right. You might end up with 3 or 4 different lengths of eye joist, and so you want to delineate them with the name. So just create.
Actually, before I got into the sales portion of working at the yard, I actually was exclusively designated to build iJoist packages for residential homes. So it's a lot of different sizes that we put into one package.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. And so um, there's also, if you search, when you get into this, you can just search the 3D warehouse and find like LVLs. There's really good textures
That's
for
good.
that. And the other thing is I can do for you is I can load. It just occurred to me, if you come to my back to my screen, um, I can go to this. If you need something, I can go to this. Let's see, floor truss, and I can go to TGIs or BCI. I'll
Wow.
just do TGIs, say okay, and I'll just draw it over this just for the fun of it. Start. Oh, I lost it. I guess I'd start over again. Oops, my bad. Floor truss. I can upload some of this stuff on 3D Warehouse for you. Is what I'm getting at.
That's pretty sweet. And so
Why did I lose? Oh, I'm sorry. I'm not paying attention. What I was supposed to do with um, this extension, you have to select the length first. I should have selected the length of the floor system first, and then you do the length, and then you can do this rim board. Yes, there's all this. They're calling there's inch and a quarter, and
what even
joist spacing. We'll just say 16, and you can add um, ad, advanced things here. I can say, let's say no for now. I'm going to show you. I can even do a sill plate. You see, now what I can do is, sorry, I had you draw all that because I just realized Medique has gone through all this trouble to draw these, and um, but I still think it's worth the experience of feeling that,
yeah.
the pain of that, honestly. Um, um, but I can upload some stuff for you. Um,
I mean, I think I like drawing it because I mean, I guess when you draw a product or like an eye joist, you know the dimensions. So if somebody asks like how thick are these or how wide are these, you know because you drew them a million times.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. I mean, that's exactly right, and that's why I didn't start off by showing you those extensions because I don't really want people. Let's go back to your screen for a second. I don't really want
Okay.
people. Um, I'd rather people learn this way. I'd rather them go through the pain of drawing something, and I just think it's more valuable. Now, the reason I had you delete those lines is because you can move that thing to the end, like push it up against the band joist or the rim joist.
So rotate
Or
or
no,
orbit
use yeah. There you go. I'm sorry, you're right. Rotate where you can see.
and
Now, take your move tool,
move tool.
that little cross. That there you go, and just pull it
Pull it
over.
from this.
Yeah, just start dragging it, and you'll see what you want to do is be on that axis, and you'll kind of feel this. It'll become intuitive after a while, and just bring it over and use the corner of that band as a reference. Yeah,
This one here,
yeah.
or
There you go. Now, now go back to the other end, and we're going to push pull it to the other end of the house. Uh, Now, if I was them, some of this, I would probably on this span I would probably use a 14 or 16 inch. I would check the
I
span. I would check the span charts on these because some of these work, but they have a lot of deflection, and they're like once you get out on them, like they'll start bouncing a little bit if you. Um,
have some give in
I
them.
I built a house one time where we spanned TGIs that only TGIs had those real narrow. They were only like inch and a half top chords, or and bottom chords. I don't know if you I don't know how old you are, but I remember the
Uh,
first. How old are you? Oh, you're
26.
a young man. You're just too young to remember this. Uh,
Yeah.
that's why these flanges are so wide now. The reason they're so much wider is because they literally had these things failing in the beginning. They were too narrow, and they were like trampolines. You could get out on them, and I think I did 11 7/8 on 24-foot span, and you could literally walk. Uh, this guy had a dog, and the dog would trot across. And there's something about animals that can get in some kind of harmonics with nature or something because the floor would bounce up and down. We couldn't do it. We could not reenact this. Like we tried to make the floor bounce the way the dog could, but there was something about his trot and the daggone floor would just bounce. And it was because of the TJIs were just not engineered properly. So anyway, you can push pull that because we took out those little lines. You can just push pull the whole
It's all
thing,
gonna come as one piece.
yeah, all the way to the other end. And what you can do is, uh, um, yeah, that's right. You have to double click on it to edit it. You can use your push pull. Now just start drag. Here's a tip. Just drag it down below your view, and the drawing should,
Down out.
yeah, just keep dragging it to where you can't see it anymore, and it should start moving. The model should start moving. Is it not?
No, no. Probably. I don't know if it's a difference when you use a touchpad instead of a mouse.
Oh,
Is
are
it?
you on a Mac or are you on a?
Yeah, I was on a regular laptop. I don't have my
Okay, so
mouse hooked up.
you'll have to move back then to where you can see the. You'll have to scroll back to where you can see. On my computer, I use a laptop too, but it's a Windows based. You know, um, you can
Kind of
but you need to be
zoom.
able to see the. You get too far out because you need to be able to see the face. Angle it
So
to
maybe I
where.
should
There you go,
like
like that. You still need to be able to put your
and,
pointer on the face. Oh,
and
okay. You
just
never lost the face. Okay, you didn't have to reselect it. Okay, now just bring it all the way to the other band. and reference the inside edge.
Zoom in a little.
There
Good.
you
Do
go.
that look
Yep,
alrighty?
just like that. And so now you got yourself a full length WI joist or whatever
Piece of
wood
we call
eyes.
it in Michigan.
What's that?
I said whatever we call it in Michigan.
Yeah. Well, I know different manufacturers have different names for them,
Yeah. I
but
see that you have one BCI. Is that's what kind of what we call ours, BCI.
BCI, that's a brand, right? Let's see. Let me go to my.
Yeah.
Let me go. I guess he. I don't know if he
Let's
has
hear.
some kind of. That may be something that he. I don't know if he has some kind of deal, branding deal or something for. Let's see if there's. Oh wait, no, because you're right. Because he had LPI and
Yep.
Red Eye. He had
LPIB.
different. Let's see what LPIs look like. Let's just say okay to all this. Yeah, LP. Yeah.
Yep.
So he's got several different brands in there. That's good.
Pretty neat. We
Yeah.
actually we did LP and we used well now we use BCI. That's our main iJoist manufacturer.
Let me see what they look like. What he's got in here. This guy, I know this guy Nathan Wilkerson that developed this. He's a really good guy, and the extensions. If you get the whole suite, it's like $150. For me, it's
Uh,
worth it. But actually,
is it monthly,
what's that?
a monthly fee or
No,
annual?
it's for the for that license, just for that. For um, I guess it is per year. No, well, no, I think it would be per version. As long as you don't change
Okay,
versions, then I think you're good. I think it would probably be an annual license, and you get the updates for a year. That's what I think.
that's pretty. You get all
The thing about it
the
is,
and
I mean, if you're somebody that's doing production work, uh, this is well worth it because if I go into roof trusses, this guy has done extensive. Uh, as a matter of fact, Um, I got to do this afternoon. That's why I can't spend all day with you. I got to do a roof plan for a guy, and he wants these roof trusses over, and this will be the extension I use. So I literally, you wouldn't believe how much time I used to spend drawing trusses. I mean, I drew them individually, individual parts and pieces, and I would go to 3D warehouse and
yeah,
I would get these plates and I would put them on there, and I'd spend several hours just drawing one truss. Of course, obviously once I had it. But
yeah.
this guy Nathan Wilkerson has the engineering. Um, there's engineering in this. Is not just an architectural drawing. These are engineered trusses. You can literally take this design and build it, and it will work. So,
Wow.
yeah, no, this guy has done it. You should, if you go to his website, you'll see you can actually download the somewhere is somewhere it is. I won't get into it because um, might be wasting time. But if I take let's say let's just do a scissor truss, and I make it some huge thing, you know, whatever spacing, whatever spacing I give it, it's going to all the math is there, you know. So you can,
It,
and I got this. He gave me this. I was doing some free work for the military. A friend of mine who's a master chief in the Navy, and they were actually they were active duty, and they were building. Um, anyway, I was able to help
I,
them
yeah,
build
I
this.
seen.
Yeah, it was really cool because I was able to actually help them build their own trusses with this extension, and they were able to whip them out, without having to go through the whole engineering thing, and it was pretty awesome. But so
Because
Will
you
Nathan
save time.
Nathan and Wilkerson actually basically donated this extension for that purpose, and I've always appreciated him doing that. And that's the only reason I try to brag on him because he's such a nice guy. And
Yeah, yeah.
but the nice thing about these uh, these groups is that you can edit the floor assembly. You can literally change everything about it. Um,
40, wow, it do
yeah,
have every
yeah. You can I can change the to 24 inches or whatever update. See, I thought I could change the length. Yeah, the span, 10 feet. Update should get bigger. Yeah, see. So once you've drawn it, you can. It doesn't really matter. You can just draw any size floor, and then put it up on your foundation and just alter it. You know, and
to that. Well,
under the advanced, if you go into the advanced stuff, um, and if I had done this from the beginning, it would have offered this, but I can go in top 3/4, or it might be 0.75, and then I can say silk plate 5.5, 1.5, and then just update that. I thought I could update it. Mm, it's probably because I'm doing something wrong. It's always because of that, right?
yeah, that's
It's me. So if I had said in the beginning that I wanted the advanced floor options, you see, okay, it wants it in a fraction. It's because I was trying to put it in a decimal. So let's see. Yes. Oops. Okay. So I've got to obviously screwed that up. So anyway, let me. I do want to demonstrate this that it works and that it's my fault that it wasn't working. So let me fix this right quick. Hmm. I'm not sure what I've done to screw it up. Let me let me select something else.
okay.
Let me select this. Do something else, and then go back to because I don't think I just found some kind of weird glitch. I have before. I have before, and he's fixed it, but it would be weird. Let me see if I've selected that properly. It usually has to do with the selection issue. Stem wall. Hmm. I probably just need to restart my computer. Restart SketchUp. So
Yeah.
I get it. I corrupted it somehow myself, and then I'm sure that's what it was. But anyway, I've got to. Is there anything? I tell you what. Is there anything that you want to do, like in the next 5-10 minutes that I haven't shown that you want to do that I could show you? Uh,
Uh, not that I can think of. Maybe I should play with it, write down some notes and some key points that I want to discuss, and then next session we discuss them.
yeah, that sounds good. And one thing you can do is just in case you get to where um, you want to do, like your subfloor, just just draw yourself. Just do the same thing. Just draw that big rectangle, pull it up 3/4 of an inch,
Make it a group.
and you can make that a group, and that's your subfloor. You know, and
I do have one, Tony.
Okay.
Uh, when I imported the blueprints, the first thing that I noticed when you put this up was how crisp the dimensions are. When I imported the blueprints into SketchUp, they were I couldn't read the numbers. The lines were kind of it wasn't as clear
Did
for some
you?
reason.
How did you import it? Because it was a PDF when when you gave
I,
it to me. Go ahead.
I think I imported it as a PDF.
So what I do you have this? Do you have GIMP? Um, let's see. Am I? Can you see my desktop?
Yes.
I have this software called GIMP. It's a free image manipulation software.
Ah,
And what you can do, it'll import PDFs. This is what I did. I'll just show you. Um, I'm just going to open it as if I hadn't done it before. Where is it? Downloads. Downloads. This is your. This is what you sent me. And what it'll do is, if it's multiple pages, you see it'll show all the pages, and you just select the one you want. See, and then click import, and then it'll import it. It'll import the JPEG. I mean the PDF, and then you export it as a JPEG.
okay.
But I don't change the aspect rate. I don't change the scale of it or anything. And so um, I don't know. This is free. GIMP is free.
I still
Uh, if you
I
type,
tried Adobe and it was kind of it was export. So I would export the file as a PDF, and it just it wasn't as yours look amazing. Mine came out kind of I couldn't read the numbers, the
well,
dimension.
I think what it is that I used your file, so the file that you sent me is fine. You just need to
Okay,
go to GIMP, type in GIMP, and this is a great software. You can use it for a bunch of other things, and you see, and you can download it for free. See, download, and
that's
and then all you got to do is import it, import the PDF, and then export it as a JPEG. And then when you get
export.
into, let me show you this. When you get into, um, like here's the ones. What I did was in GIMP, I just cropped out the part I wanted, but I didn't change the scale. I didn't change the scale or anything. Once you bring it into, don't change the scale. See, just double click. Because if I try to change the scale, it will get blurry.
Okay,
You see, if I bring that in, and it was big enough, right? I think it's freaking bigger than the house. But if I try to blow it up, it's a raster file, and that's when you get into trouble with raster files. Actually, it's not too bad though. It was so big to begin with. I probably would have had to make it like 10 times bigger just to make it grainy. But see, that's amazing that that's still legible after I blew it up that many times. But if I went like this, well, it's not going to demonstrate it, is it? It's funny. I
we try to show.
Yeah. Anytime I try to show something, it doesn't work, right? But I've had that problem with raster images. They're not vector images, so when you scale them, they don't they don't keep their the DPI or whatever the resolution. So as long as you don't change it, as long as you got a crisp image in, so I can zoom in. What's funny is it's not that clear to begin with because whoever, when it was printed or whatever copied, whenever these drawings were copied, that's the quality that we're getting. Like we don't. This is not. I can tell by looking at this. This is not an exported PDF, or is it?
And no, I think did I that what did, how did I get this blueprint? I think I sent it to somebody and it was in my email, so this was the one I figured I'd go with. I sent it to like a so it was just the only one that I had from work. So
Well,
this
and that's
figure I figured
fine.
it.
as long as you can read it, it's fine. I was actually surprised that it came in this big, and then I was able to actually read it as well as I was. But that I use this software all
Again,
the time. I use GIMP all the time for everything. I create thumbnails with it. It's just like anything you can do in Adobe, you'll see that
it's
that
like
there are similar. As a matter, I'm sure some you know hipsters probably said, "Oh, anarchists said we're going to create this," and because we hate capitalism, and but it's almost exactly like Illustrator, So pretty much anything um, you can do with Adobe, you can do here. You can do text,
it's pretty cool.
whatever. It's got a bunch of stuff, and it's free. So I mean, I'm all into that. But
Like free.
but anyway, that's a good idea. Why don't you see how far you can get with and I don't know how much. I was looking at this. I see they got this LVL. That must be for this wall here, this load bearing wall here. What do they show in the basement? They do show a beam. W8. Oh, they're showing a steel beam in here. What's funny is if I was going to build this house, I'd probably get rid of some of this. I'd probably redo the structure. Here, I'll be honest with you, architects sometimes overkill things because they're afraid that they're not gonna reliability. But
They add extra
yeah,
materials.
I would go through this whole house and I would find out where the load bearing points are, and I would probably just run double LVLs all the way down. You know, um, the but I guess what I'm saying is I would build this house. You know, I would go for
Each
each floor and see where the load bearing conditions were, and um, you know, go from there. Um, I would just kind of search out here, here. I guess what I'm saying is, as I build this, I take care of my load bearing conditions as I go. You know, if after I put this, after I get my subfloor on there, I'll just grab it, um, back out here and put it up here. Now I've got a palette to put my and this is one thing I was going to tell you. The one thing good about layers is you see how those joists are kind of ghosting through.
yeah,
I want to move this over 6 feet for a second. This is where your layers start to come in handy. Um, Floor framing. Um, let's put this in floor framing right quick. You notice I'm just putting the group in there. I'm
not
not putting the drawing, the work. Now I can turn it off. And so when you start doing your views, um, 6 feet, when you start doing your floor plan and you want to show you start setting up your views and you're looking straight down and you're showing your floor plan, you don't want your joist showing through, right?
yeah. You want to see
So,
just the
yeah, so what you would do is you would create a view called, or a scene, it's called, let's just call it, we want to update the selected style. Yeah. Um, we want to call it floor plan. Okay. So the view we would use is this top view, and we would also go and make it parallel projection because you don't want to see the walls in a perspective, you know. So that, and then you would let's see if I go turn on the joist. Sometimes you can see them, sometimes you can't. You see, that's the little inconsistencies. So if you see them, just you can just turn them off. You see, and then
yeah.
we would save that view. We would update that view. And now, before you came in here, I created a view called work, and that's just like a perspective view that I get at. And those views are saved. So now, if I click on floor plan again, it goes back to that perspective or that view. And I had one called drawings that just kind of put me over the drawings in a top down look. You see,
Where you like okay.
so you see, but you
I
see at this angle, the joister, it gets kind of annoying because if I'm going to draw my floor plan, I don't want to see all those joists ghosting through. So I just turn them off when I start. But what I was getting at is when you start your floor plan, you can do the same thing. You can draw that. Let's say you got 2 by 6 exterior walls or whatever. You can just go in here and, or in this case, you got. Let's see. We're gonna have.
think like
I guess
four in the
I guess
front.
they were 2 by 4s. So you come in. Um, let's just come in 4 for now, and then. Um, well, when you're drawing your floor plan, see, this is the difference between whether if you're really truly just drawing a floor plan versus a structure. You're going to go and draw everything. Uh, you would have to. Well, this is where it gets into whether you're going to actually draw everything or not. Because a lot of what a
Okay.
lot of architects would do is just pull this wall up, 8 foot one, and where am I? I didn't say 8 foot one, did I? 1/8 or whatever, and and that's and then you delete this face in the middle, and then when you're looking down, if I go back to my floor plan, you see that's all you're going to see anyway, right?
Yeah, okay.
So
Yeah,
they wouldn't go through all the trouble to draw all the studs. I do that because I want to see it, but um, they wouldn't go through all the trouble. So you kind of have to decide when you start drawing your floor plan, you have to decide whether you're going to show it just as a model, like as a mass, like massing model, what I call, where you don't, where you're just showing the thickness of the walls, or whether you're going to draw every component or not. You see,
okay. Yep.
because see,
So
an architect wouldn't. This is all the architect does, right?
is
They draw this and they draw this plan and they hatch the walls. That's all they're doing. And then they draw these sections and these elevations to show the rest of the
to
house.
show open.
But they're not doing a 3D model like we're doing. You see, so you have to kind of decide. You have
Yeah,
to
this is
decide up front what the purpose of your model is for. If the purpose of your model is just to print a set of drawings like this, you might want to just show your walls like this. You know,
okay.
because once you go back to that view, and you see, this is why you don't show perspective in the top view. This is why I had it set up to just show it in this parallel projection. Is because that is what that's the view you would see when you start to print your drawing. You just see the thickness. You just see lines. But I'll show
Oh,
you. I'll show you that in another session. The only reason I brought that up is um, for your purposes. Um, you just have to decide
what I
how you want to set it up from the beginning.
do you would you so as since you are you own a construction company, would you if you was to work with a salesman that kind of I guess if you didn't know how to operate SketchUp yourself, would it be easier to work with someone that can kind of show you everything piece by piece and ensure you that your material is correct and how it lines up with everything? Would
Well,
that be beneficial to
the only
a
thing is
builder in your
that's a lot of your.
opinion?
I mean, you're not planning on building a model of every house that comes your way, are you? I mean, for free.
Not no, not yeah, no, no, it won't be for free. Yeah,
Yeah, you see,
so it'd
you'd be
kind
a
of be
prisoner. You'd end up feeling like a prisoner to this at some point. You're gonna create a monster at some point that you're gonna be a slave to. You know, So what I think is helpful, I think what you're doing is helpful because once you build a couple of houses in a model like this, you're going to know exactly where every piece of lumber goes and why it's there. And so then and that's what I was saying earlier when we first started. Then when you start to look at different drawings, they're going to pop up in your head in 3 dimensions. And when you're looking at this in 2 dimensions, it's going to be like you have this secret code in your head that nobody else has, and you're going to see it in three. You're going to imagine it in 3 dimensions when other people are just seeing it in 2 dimensions. You will
I'm
get to
gonna be able,
where
yeah, understand.
you will get to where you imagine this, and I do this when I go out to the job after I've done after I build a house as a 3D model. I can just about answer any question when I go out to my frameworks. I literally, on the first day we framed my house, I forgot my drawings and my laptop, and we were able to do all the exterior walls that day just from memory. um,
Wow.
because no, you'll see, it's like Chinese water torture. Okay, after you go through after you go through the process of doing all that, you can't forget it. It's ingrained into your brain. It's like chiseled into your brain. You can't, you know, if after you spend that much time building something, it's like this floor system. It's like that. Yeah, it's like all the work that we've all already done. You're not going to forget that. You know,
Oh
it's
yeah,
it's it's a, it's
yeah.
that image is embedded into your brain now. And so when if you went through this whole exercise on this house, you could probably sit down and with a scrap piece of paper and figure the studs without even looking at the model. So you know, so I think in the long run it's going to help you, but I don't think you're going to be able to
Okay.
put that much time into every project. You know,
Or that. Okay.
what you'll do is you'll come up with rules of thumb, like we have, like if I'm ordering studs, we order a stud for every linear foot of wall. That kind of rule of thumb, right? Um, because if you do that and they're on 16-inch centers, then that gives you extra studs for jacks and trimmers and keys and all the components that you. So you think
Need.
what what were you gonna say?
Look, I would just nothing. I didn't say
Oh,
anything.
okay. I'm sorry. I was trying not to talk over you, but you'll see. But again, once you do this, you'll start to see why. And if you want to do another session, we'll just build a wall. And once you build the wall, like we'll do wall framing, window and door framing and stuff. Um, then you'll start to see why you need those extra pieces. Where they go and what happens to
But
them.
the use.
So,
Okay. Thank you.
all
Thank
right. So I'm a little over on my. I'm not complaining, but I am a little over. I got to go help somebody else with something, and
Okay.
but I really this was really interesting. I appreciate you.
Thank you. When I sent you when came across your actually came I went on YouTube and I've been looking at YouTube videos and I came across you were a suggest. I think I watched a previous video of yours and then the live shed build, the 12 by 20
Oh yeah,
popped up
yeah.
and I watched that and I was like, wow, this is the perfect guy.
Oh,
So I
thanks.
wanted to read.
Well, you were.
I mean, I watched and yours have been every video I've watched. Yours is the most gave the most information and it was the most detail and it wasn't just SketchUp. It was also construction information all combined into one. I was like, this is wonderful. This is this
Well,
is
I
what I've been looking
appreciate
for.
that. You've obviously have some expertise of your own because you went through this really quickly. So I think it would be worth it to get into it a little more, and just have fun with it. And you don't have to. Uh, have you seen the web-based version? I'll show you that right quick before. if you type SketchUp for web, you actually you can they have this in the cloud where you can use SketchUp online. Um, I guess I'm logged in. Yeah, as long as you have a Google account, you can log in, and it's probably freaking out because I've got all this stuff going on my computer. But you can use it. They have a free if you don't want to pay because I what's the pro license? I pay a subscription every
It's like
year.
I think it's not too. I can't remember honestly. I think it's like maybe if you do it the annual, you pay $30 a month or $40 a month.
Yeah, I think I pay $100 a year for the license, but
So
I
it's
think
not too bad.
I can't remember, but of course obviously it's worth it for me. But if you didn't want to
Yeah,
use, you can use, and most of the tools are here. You know, um, you just kind of have to get used to the on the web version. All these tools are like pop out. Some of them are like pop out. Like you
you
see,
can. Yeah,
you can't manipulate the toolbars. I don't think like you can on your desktop version.
desktop.
Uh,
Okay.
but
I,
if you don't want to pay for SketchUp, you can use this and you can save your projects. Um,
that's even cooler.
yeah, and you can still if you go to this little button over here, components, which I always thought was kind of weird. That's where the 3D warehouse is. See, search
It's
3D warehouse.
components.
So if you ever wanted to if you didn't want to buy SketchUp, you know, um, the neat thing about SketchUp Pro, and I'll show you this right before I go, is SketchUp Pro comes with this software called Layout. Okay, and this is where you bring your models in to print them on paper. Okay,
Uh,
you don't actually
secure
print. You don't.
blueprint.
Yeah, you don't actually print your drawings from SketchUp. And
Hmm.
like here's a drawing I did for the siding I designed, and we've I don't know if you saw that video.
Yeah, I did.
Um,
It's pretty cool.
yeah, so this is this is a piece of paper here, right? So I have my title block here, and but if you'll notice, this is actually referencing the model. So if I double click on that, now I'm in the model. You see,
And you can you? Oh wow, yeah. Okay, I
but
gotcha.
see what happens here now. I probably screwed it up, didn't I? Remind me not to save this because I screwed it up.
Okay,
But let me click undo. Yeah, there we go.
it's
Because the thing about this is this is where you would set up your sheets. Your you set up your page size. Like this is 11 by 17 paper. You set up your scale here. You see, what have I got this on half inch equals a foot? You see, I've got these at like 3 inches per foot. You know,
wow.
yeah. So see, this is
You
this
held
uh,
on.
this is where uh, you set up those views that we set up. Let's say for some silly reason I wanted to where's SketchUp Tutor? That's where I am today. Oh, you know what's crazy? I haven't saved this drawing yet. That is nuts. That's the first thing I should have done. That is crazy, crazy. Let's call it. Let's call it SketchUp Tutor. Let's call it Tutor. Let's call it just Tutor.
I like it.
Tutor SKP. Okay, now I should go back. Now, see, it showed up even with me not looking. I can, what I can do now, I can set up a window. You see, if this sheet was big enough, I could set this up to where I can show this floor plan. Let's see if it'll work at an eighth inch scale. See, that's an eighth inch scale right there. So I could show that whole floor plan. at an eighth inch scale on this piece of paper. See,
Oh, yep.
and
For the
now this kind of gets into styles a little bit, and I know I'm kind of addicted to this now, so I can't get away from it. But this is where your styles come in, and we can talk about this next time if you want to. The styles button is determines how you look, how you set up, how you work, right? But it also sets up with how you like if I wanted to say the floor plan in this style where it looks like a construction drawing, I could save that. I could update that. But in the work, I don't like. I like having a not. I don't like that real bright background. Because it'll blind you after a while. You'll go
kind
snow
of combine
blind looking at that bright light all day. You'll go snow blind. I have my eyes be watering at the end of the day. You can
to
set
extent.
this up
It,
different.
no textures in the
See, I can set it up with different views, different styles. I mean, so that you can change that per view. So um, see how it went back to that, and then you got to be careful though because I just added all those styles to my drawing. So if I go to model now, I added all those things. Now I've got a bunch of stuff. And I'll probably just delete. I'll just delete all of them. But um, but because you just need to keep in mind because it gets confusing because if you keep that simple and you just keep the ones in your model, you only want to keep the ones that you're actually going to use because when you go to layout, you have to um, select the scene that you made. You see down here, work floor plan.
work floor plan. Work. Yes.
I was able to, but you can also change the style in here. I know what I do. I need to update the model reference, and then I can um, choose the scene was floor plan, and then. But anyway, I spend all day on this, but I wish I could. I could literally spend all day on this because it's fun. But I just wanted to show you that this other software comes with SketchUp Pro.
What makes it worth
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah. Because if you're just going to use this online version, I guess I closed it, didn't I? If you're just going to use the online version, the web version, you don't get all that. You're just
okay?
work. You can save your model, but you can't when you go to print. And they purpose. I'll show you right quick. They purposely did this in SketchUp to annoy people, so they would. Okay, so when you try to when you try to dimension something in a SketchUp, you see this little wimpy.
8 foot
eh,
one.
See these little wimpy dimensional thing. They kind of try to scale as they try to they try to be like what would that be called relational or whatever. This is the dimensioning in SketchUp is one of the most annoying things you'll find, and so I guess like there. Let's see test, and the labels do the same thing. So if I put text in there, you see, and
It's
I rotate, it changes scale. It's just trust me, you'd rather eat nails than deal with the text. And so what they
yeah,
did was they came up with layout so that I don't know if it was to sell something or whatever. They came up with a separate, and it makes sense, a separate software to do the printing in. So you set up these views, right? You call it floor plan, and then you decide what. I know what I did. I deleted the style, and that's why it wasn't showing up. That construction drawings style is the style that I use for printing drawings. So I would save that. I would update that view, and that's the view I would use for printing the drawing, right? But for working on it, I like this other style that doesn't blind me as I'm working. You know.
Ah, so when you set up your different views, you can every view can have its own style as you switch
Exactly.
through.
See now when I change back, it'll go back to the white. You know,
That's pretty
you don't want to print your drawings with that. You know, you'd run out of ink after a couple of pages.
cool.
Right. I actually did that one time. I tried printing drawings. They look cool, but I realized I went through about $60 worth of ink on one set of drawings. I was like, okay, I get it. That's why we don't use those styles. you know, and
You live
so
and learn.
yeah, you just want the black line. You just want it to look like this when you print it. You know, and so now I will set up perspectives like when I get my houses done, I'll set up a view like for the cover. I don't know if you've noticed this, but I'll set up a cover sheet that has a perspective on it or something, and I'll save that view, and that'll be in color. Maybe the cover sheet has a really nice view, but the rest of it pretty much is construction drawings like that. But
Every, so like the main picture will be the first picture you will see will be a picture with color and kind of give it a visual appeal.
yeah, because usually on let's see, I wish I was not on my new laptop. I don't have anything on my new laptop. Let me see if I have anything to show you. Um, let's see, which one of these jobs? No, see, I don't have any new. I don't have any new jobs. This is how new this laptop is. There's only 4 jobs on here, and none of these have a like this is a rezoning plan I did for a lady, right? To get she wanted to get this property rezoned. So it's obviously just a benign looking 2-dimensional drawing, right? But I do have well, I know how I can show you. I do have if you go to atdrafting.com, atdrafting, there's a little picture. I guess it's not that easy to see. You can see um like see this model. I know you can't see it.
See it? It
Kind of
got the
silly to even ask you, but these like that's the house I live in now. That's when I built, and then um, that would have been on the cover sheet, but the cover sheet has the pretty drawing, the perspective, the 3D stuff, and then all your other pages are kind of like basically like this, 2-dimensional
right.
construction drawings.
Okay.
Because honestly, one there's like one guy on every job that knows exactly everything, right? But everybody, like your framer, just wants to see this, right? He doesn't care. He doesn't care that you spent days and days drawing, figuring, and planning, right? So I just say Paco. I got WI joist at 16 inches on center. And, oh yeah, man. Oh yeah, I got it. Then he just goes to town. So,
The
mhm.
other information. Yeah.
He laughs at me when I take my laptop out to the job and I say, "Look at my pretty model," and he goes, "Oh, uh." He starts getting frustrated. I don't want to see that. Just tell me what the joist centers are on. I just want to go and start working. I'm like, okay. But the reason you have everything you need is because I built this model. You're not going to run out of
That's,
anything. Well, that was fun. Um,
yeah,
uh,
I appreciate it.
we'll do it again sometime if you want to. And
I've,
um, I, it was a good experience for me. I know one thing I have to do. I got to go talk to the company that provides my server. This is Artisan. This is my server here. Meet.artisantony.com. And I use this. It's a dedicated server, and I really need to try to figure out why the video, how to get the video better.
To
Because when I was looking at your screen, sometimes it would be a little hard to see. So it'll be interesting to see how that translates into the video. You know, um, but well, I'll try to improve on that for next time. See what I can do.
yeah, thank you, Tony.
Well,
I'll
thanks. Well, thanks, Marcus. You want to try to do it again in a week or so,
yeah,
or you want to?
yeah, that'd be great. I mean, if you have some free time, you have a schedule that you don't, I can work around it. I can if you
Sundays is usually a good day. I do a lot of my drawing obviously on the weekends, and
okay.
so I usually will have two or three smaller projects going. Like this afternoon, I have to work on that one project I was talking about, and then I have a bigger ongoing project for that metal building company where I'm building the model um, for the one of their Quonset buildings. Um, um, I've got the wall panels drawn, and so I'll be working on some of that this afternoon too. So,
Hmm. Sundays it sound like we could. I could see you next Sunday.
oh, that sounds good. All right.
I have some. I'll have some questions for you after I play around with it, and
Well, you'll be a
so
pro by next Sunday.
I hope so.
All right. Well, thanks. Thanks, Marcus. It's really fun. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday.
If you need
But it's
anything else between now and then, just if you need anything else, have any questions, just email me. And I'll be glad to answer questions.
thank you.
All right.
Stay
Well,
safe, Tony.
good luck. You too. See you.
Enjoy what you're doing.
You too. You enjoy your
Thank
day. See ya.